All right, should I do the intro?
Yeah, let's go.
Right. It's terror time again with the Delisted Podcast. Today we're discussing Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I'm Connor, and with me as always,
Augustine.
And Jessica. Every time, Connor.
I'm sorry, I was trying to give you space.
No, this time I was waiting for you to say and. I was like, I'm not going to say it this time.
Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Work on it.
And it took too long. Should we just do it again, or is this?
No, that's fine. Let's leave it in.
All right, so Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I just want to start out by saying that the song "Terror Time Again" is an absolute banger, and the version that's in that movie by Sky Cycle is not available anywhere. You can find covers on like Apple Music, but the actual song from the movie only exists in that movie.
Well, according to Wikipedia, they are perhaps best known for their music in the movie. So
that's what I know them for.
Them. Would you want to be remembered for one Scooby-Doo movie?
Well, I mean, The Ghost is a Fake and Terror Time Again. That's pretty. I mean, our other major musical contributor to the movie actually comes at the beginning. Is Third Eye Blind doing a cover of the original Scooby-Doo theme song?
Yeah, that was
awesome.
A decent intro.
But like some context for our listeners, Scooby-Doo was pretty much dead at this point in the late 90s. There hadn't been a TV show since a pup named Scooby-Doo. There hadn't even been a special since Scooby-Doo and the Arabian Nights. And even that wasn't really a Scooby-Doo special. It was Scooby and Shaggy telling stories about other Hanna-Barbera characters.
I've never heard of this.
It wasn't
I've never heard of.
And it was like they'd abandoned the
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo formula. Even the last few Scooby-Doo movies had been like Shaggy gets a job at a school for monsters, or Shaggy is a race car driver, and like Scooby-Doo and the Boo Brothers, Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. Those were the last big Scooby-Doo productions before Arabian Nights.
I'm sorry. Before you said race car, I thought you were going to say Scooby like Shaggy's a racist.
Well, no,
in one of the movies.
There is a surprising amount of Confederate soldiers in Scooby-Doo episodes and movies, including this one.
Yeah, well, it makes sense in this one because of the location, but
basically the classic Scooby formula had been abandoned. There hadn't been a new Scooby-Doo anything for years. And this movie in 1998 kind of brought Scooby-Doo back. It had a much bigger budget than any previous Scooby-Doo anything. And according to a lot of the people that worked on it, it didn't have a lot of oversight. But it was a huge hit. And then following that, there was a new direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movie every year. Sometimes there's even more than one. And that actually goes straight up to today. But the ones that come out today are more tied to the recent Scooby-Doo TV shows than these movies. There was actually, for 3 movies following this, there was kind of a strict continuity going on with Scooby-Doo. Like the adventures followed one after the other, and the sort of theme they went for was American folklore. So this one has Scooby-Doo in Louisiana dealing with voodoo. And what's interesting is the zombies of the eponymous Zombie Island are not George Romero-style zombies. They're actually kind of classical voodoo zombies.
Yeah, the whole ghouls and ghosts thing.
Also, the monsters are real in this movie. They told you that in the trailer, so...
No, it's a spoiler right there. They may not have seen the trailer that ruined the plot.
The trailer. But yeah, I love that, like, as this movie begins, we open with the gang's supposed last case before they broke up, I guess, where they fight the moat monster, and they've kind of stripped Scooby-Doo down to its barest essence, because it's just like a big chase, and then they whip off the mask, and they go, oh no, it's really... And it's someone we've never even seen before, but it's like... That's it. We get the entire gist of what was going on from just that scene.
I mean, yeah, that's the most important part of Scooby-Doo is once they take off the mask.
Yeah. And there's like some actual peril here because like Daphne and Velma end up hanging off of the edge of the castle. And very notable that Fred is holding on to Velma and Daphne, and then he drops Velma.
That's unfortunate.
Like he knows which one he wants to keep. And then like we just cut later to Shaggy is holding Velma and Fred's holding Daphne, but Shaggy wasn't there. So I feel like we missed some kind of a thing going on before that happened.
And probably cut for time. I mean, this movie's pretty short. It's only 76 minutes.
It's very short, but I think
I can't imagine someone falling asleep to it.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's very entertaining, and it was a big hit. And I gotta say, it's not a very dark movie at all. But compared to every previous Scooby-Doo anything, it's dark for Scooby-Doo.
I mean, children might get
That's
creeped
what
out.
made it successful,
I know.
though, because you get that little, like, scary element. What is it? When did it come out? 98?
98. So like kids in the 90s were already desensitized. They had Doom and Mortal Kombat, but Scooby-Doo.
I
Scooby-Doo had to
mean,
be a little
that's
edgier.
talking. You're talking about people who may have been exposed to already horror type elements, whereas me, I didn't really get into horror till like in my 20s.
So
So like,
Scooby-Doo's like a gateway drug to horror.
yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because me and my boyfriend were talking about like how Scooby-Doo and like Addams Family and like little stuff like that, if you weren't already into horror, like desensitized by either horror games or more scarier videos like The Exorcist. My boyfriend's mom is really into horror movies, and so she really desensitized with that.
See,
But
I feel
for
like The
someone like
Exorcist,
me, uh-huh, go
it's
ahead.
not even that scary. Like I feel like people in the 70s were just really, really wimps. Because I watched
Just
that movie and I'm
using
like,
just using that as an example.
mhm.
But like, you know, for some of us who did not, who were like watching kid shit just only and played video games, like kid video games, like something like this in Adam's Family would have a little bit creeped me out a bit when I watched it as a child, and now kind of like watching it as an adult again because I just rewatched Adam's Family too, as
Oh,
well.
the live action one with Angelica Houston.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a great
it's
movie.
good. The movies
I
are
like the
good.
second one better though, personally. The one where the kids go to summer camp.
All right. Are we really going to like consider the rating though? Can we like we need to do like something on that, like the whole rating system? It's
Well, I
just
know it's ridiculous, but this is a G, meaning that it's from before they got desensitized and started rating every kids film PG. And in fact, it might actually deserve a PG for the amount of like this is the only Scooby-Doo anything where characters die on screen. Even in Mystery Incorporated, it cuts away and you hear gunshots. You don't actually see any on-screen deaths. And then this one does not pull punches.
No, it does not.
And just to get back to the summary, so we see this last big case, the Moat Monster, and it cuts to Daphne actually being interviewed about it on a talk show. And it turns out she's now a reporter who does a show called Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake, and Freddie is her one-man crew. And they travel around in a van that I don't think is supposed to be the same Mystery Machine, but it's still blue and green. And they report on Americana. But for her second season, she's decided she's going to report on haunted America, and she's going to try and find a real ghost. And she says this all during a very exposition-heavy interview with a woman named Chris on this talk show. And then we cut to the various other members of the mystery gang. So Velma now runs a bookstore, and she doesn't seem to be very happy with her life. And Shaggy and Scooby, interestingly enough, are customs officials at the airport in charge of sniffing out contraband, specifically contraband food, because they don't want to bring up the concept of other contraband items in this film. And they actually get fired for eating all of the contraband material they've confiscated, which was a joke I did not get as a child. Did you guys?
I mean, yeah, I got it.
I didn't really understand why you couldn't take cheese into the country. I still don't, honestly.
Why can't you take? I am genuinely curious. Why can't you take?
I don't know. They
cheese?
just don't let you take certain things into the country in like large amounts, I think. Because
Yeah,
like,
there are a lot of regulations, so makes sense. It's a case by case basis.
but then they eat all the contraband. I don't know who plays their boss, but he sounds like Mark Hamill. Their boss with the blonde mustache who fires them.
Yeah, I could see that.
But Freddy calls. Oh, what was that celebration?
Oh, not my ringtone.
Your ringtone is the Final Fantasy boss celebration sound.
From the
it's funny.
remake, not the original.
Wasn't that not Tifa, the one that lives? Yeah, Tifa. Wasn't that her cell phone ringtone in Advent Children?
I honestly have no idea. I haven't seen Advent
Oh,
Children.
they have it as a gag. Like she wins a fight and you hear that music and it turns out it's her phone ringing.
I mean, that's not a bad joke.
Yeah. Anywho's it's so after about 6 minutes of the gang being apart, Fred gets them all together, and then he just callously rips off the title of Daphne's show from the van and reveals that it said Mystery Machine under there the whole time. And they go together first to Louisiana to look for ghosts, and we get our first big musical montage, whereas we see like 5 different Scooby-Doo episodes in miniature where we only see the chase and the ripping off of the mask for like a bunch of different monsters, including the Crawdaddy, who is a human-sized crawdad. He's the only one that really stood out to me.
Like, really thinking about it, just like, watching it again as adults, like, why do we really think that these people were, or, these things were like real? Like, it's like, especially like the Crawdaddy was like, really? Come on.
Well, the gang wasn't fooled for a second, except maybe Daphne, because she looked really disappointed every time it turned out to be a guy in a mask. And we had Sky Cycle playing there, the Ghost is Fake song.
Well, Daphne was obviously in deep denial, so
Yeah. Later she
That's how it
accuses Fred
goes.
of being in denial. You know who was in denial is Ariel's friend whom I watched the film with, because even like by like the very end, she was still saying, "Wow, they must have spent a lot of money setting up this fake zombie island." Like nothing convinced her that there were real monsters in the movie.
even at the point where the characters themselves are like, "What? This doesn't make
Yeah,
sense."
even when the characters were convinced, she remained skeptical. So honestly, points to her. If she were ever in a real Scooby-Doo situation, she would probably be able to solve the mystery.
Well, unless it becomes real, in which case she might die.
That's true. I mean, you know who might die is Daphne, because the incredibly suspicious gardener, she's like, "Oh, he's kind of cute. I want to go search the woods with him." And Fred is like, "No, bad idea."
I mean, she's lucky that he turned out to be, law enforcement that was actually
Yeah.
on a mission.
Velma went instead, and then that scene where he like looks like he's gonna kill Velma with a rock, but he's revealing the
Okay, but you know what? How old are they supposed to be in this movie?
Well, Velma owns a bookstore. That's the thing, and like Shaggy is working as an enforcement agent, and like they're at least in their 20s. They're not teens anymore in this movie.
How does Velma own a bookstore? I didn't see them ever get paid for their services in any of
It was
the.
called like
Right.
Dinkley's Mystery. Oh, you mean how did she have the money to buy a bookstore?
Yeah, where they didn't even get paid for their
Well, I
problem
think her last
solving.
name is on the sign and not her first name. That's so maybe it's a family thing. I
That
don't
would
know.
make more sense.
But I
Yeah.
mean, presumably they all had jobs at some point, and we just never saw it because we were seeing them, messing around as teens, driving
Well,
about.
this is only a year later after the show.
It is? Did they say that in the
Yeah,
movie?
in the promotional stuff.
Wow. It
So I
seems
don't
like a
know
lot more time has passed,
if it were set like 6 years later, I could see it, but it's only
but
a
it's
year
like
later.
they're pretty clearly adults in this movie, and it's worth noting in the sequel that was called Return to Zombie Island that came out for the 20th anniversary of Zombie Island, so like 2 years ago. They try and retcon it that they're all still teens, and that was the year that Daphne was interning for a TV channel, which is like that's not what's going
That's
on at all.
creepy.
They're just like
That's
they
creepy.
awkwardly try and make them still
Why?
teens in the continuity of the new movies,
That's
even
pretty
though
bizarre. I mean, they let her drive around with Fred on her own across the country, so
and they're always drawn to
yeah.
look like adults. Like I know they tell us that they're teens, but they're not. They're adults,
Why
right?
do they have to be teens anyway?
Because they feel like kids won't
Yeah.
relate to grown-ups, I guess.
That makes no sense because
Yeah, it
this
doesn't
whole
make sense.
time I thought they were adults as a
Yeah, I
kid
did too
watching
before I found out they
It's like
were
them
Scooby-Doo.
saying that Velma is
teenagers.
15 in like the official material. It's like there's no way she's 15. Come on.
Well, it's the same thing with like Pokemon, like Jesse and James. I thought those were straight up
Oh no,
adults,
they're
like
supposed to be lying
watching
about
that.
their age, apparently, because there's other material where they refer to her as a hag, Jessie, which apparently in Japanese culture, and someone just told me this, so this might be wrong, means that she's about 25 years old.
Oh, the whole
Okay,
Christmas cake thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
she's supposed to
Jesse's
be lying when she says she's a teen, apparently, and it makes it's more obvious if you watch the original non-dub. But who does that?
So yeah, Jessie is supposed to be 25, so she's elderly as far as Japanese media is concerned.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, it's like in
Yeah.
anime, there's only 2 stages of aging. There's anime babe, and then there's like shriveled up old lady.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
so
it.
weird, isn't it? Like you can be 45, but if you're meant to be like attractive, you still look like you're 20. And then as soon as they want you to be like an old hag, you look like you're 49, like
What was the
89 years
game
old.
Grandia, where the dude's mother looks like the exact same age
Oh
as
yeah, that
him?
was Grandia 3 with Miranda.
Yeah.
Miranda
was-
looks like the not even the older sister, like
Just
same
his
age
younger
sister.
sister. Somebody, it was unskippable. They said that the law was not all anime babes are moms, but all moms are anime babes. Or anime moms, not all. Not all moms. Hashtag not all moms.
I mean,
Dang, that's so mean.
does Dragon
We
Quest
mothers.
does Dragon Quest count as anime because of the art style?
I mean,
Even though it's a
Akira
video game.
Toriyama, so yeah,
Okay,
totally.
because yeah, because I mean, I would say that some of the moms are meant to be cartoony in that one. You know,
I
like
remember
'cause they're
Bulma's mom is
older.
pretty cute.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there are any parents in Scooby-Doo Zombie Island,
No
like
parents.
at all.
And so, like, after our disappointing montage of fake ghosts, a incredibly suspicious Cajun woman, quote unquote, happens to overhear them talking about how they want to find ghosts while she's at like the market, and tells them that she works at a haunted house that's on an isolated island, and they have to take the ferry to get there.
That
And
just sounds like a murder case.
yeah,
That's
they
about
just
to
they just
happen.
follow along, and like it kind of is because we're told that there's been hundreds of like Velma punches it up on the research database inside of the van, and it's like there's been a lot of mysterious disappearances on this island, but they go anyway because they have no sense of self-preservation.
You would
And
think you would think at that point the police
It
would
could be that's because they're
investigate.
teens.
well, yet they do investigate. Don't spoil the film. But yes, they
Oh, we
do.
already mentioned it earlier, but
Yes.
with
But
the
they
gardener.
get on the ferry, and we're introduced to Jacques the ferryman, and then they in an instance of peril that actually is a little bit intense for Scooby-Doo, Shaggy and Scooby fall off and are attacked by gators, and they're rescued by Snakebite Scruggs.
That's an awesome name.
I know, and he's such a small part of the movie. Like I kept forgetting he was there, and then he'd show up. He is Mark Hamill, so Snakebite Scruggs is Mark Hamill, and I think he did double duty as the boss at the airport.
It is. He did. He did the airport character as well. I mean, watching Mark Hamill like go from his like regular voice and then just doing the Joker voice, like just watching it like via like a YouTube video, like when he's at Comic-Con or whatever, any sort of convention. He just does it so effortlessly. It's like, God, he's just
So great
so
as the
good.
Joker. You know what he's great as too? On The Flash, he plays Trickster, and he does the same voice.
Is that the only other voice he can do?
No, he can also do the voice that he does. It's like I've gotten to the point where I can recognize his gruff voice as well as his Joker voice. He was also the Larry 3000 on Time Squad, who I guess sounds kind of like the Joker, but not really. He's kind of like an English. Like Joker sort of has an English accent, and if you listen to the way he talks, I never really got that.
And for those of us just starting on this episode, he's also Luke Skywalker. Just in case anyone didn't know that.
So you're watching Star Wars, and you're like, that guy sounds so familiar. Oh my gosh, he's Snakebite Scruggs.
And apparently, in the Game Gear version of Prince of Persia, he's also the Prince of Persia.
Oh yeah, the cover of the Game Gear Prince of Persia is very clearly just like a copied picture of Luke Skywalker. Like even his outfit. So we have like a blonde, blue-eyed Prince of Persia, and then interestingly, the Zeta Gundam soundtrack CD also very clearly has a picture of Mark Hamill on the cover. Like they copied over Star Wars artwork for it. I don't know why. So they go to the island. We're introduced to Snakebite Scruggs, the ferryman, who makes a lot of very ominous comments about how people don't ever come back from the bayou. And also an very cantankerous gardener named Bo, who just started working there and is always like digging giant holes in the middle of the woods at night and being like, I'm just doing my job as a gardener. So a lot of suspicious characters front loaded in this movie. Because, that's the old Scooby formula. And they come to the island. They find out that not only did a pirate named Morgan Moonscar. It's not his real name, though, we find out. Like, thank God, that would have been unrealistic. Die there. But so did a Civil War regiment. And various ghosts warn the gang to get out until sundown comes, and that's when the zombies wake up. And then we get just a movie full of zombie-related mayhem. I think that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, it describes the movie pretty well.
I don't know if we should get into spoiler territory just yet, or if we should just discuss various aspects of it, such as the background paintings, which are very detailed this time around.
I mean, I'm fine with spoilers. Let's just go all in on
All right,
Zombie
the zombies
Island.
are actually trying to warn them. Lena and her boss, Ms. Lenoir, are cat people, similar to Stephen King's Sleepwalkers, and they need to sacrifice every harvest moon in order to continue to be immortal. And the ferryman is in on it. And the zombies are just the previous people who've had their life drained away, trying to warn the gang to leave the island before it's too late.
They do a really shitty job of warning them, though.
They write "Get out" and "Beware" on a.
They should be more specific.
Yeah.
The cat people did this to us.
And then the part where Velma's floating.
It should have just been a paragraph on the wall, like, like
outlining everything. Like, yo, they killed like 300 people in the span of 10 years or something. I don't know.
Was Velma floating because of the voodoo doll, or was that ghost making her do that?
I think it was supposed to be a ghost.
I think it's
I don't recall.
I think it's assumed that it's voodoo at that point.
But like, why would they make her float at that particular moment? Like, I get later when Shaggy finds the doll playing with them.
For funsies, because this is a children's cartoon.
Hey, you can't just use that out every time. If you have a podcast that discusses a cartoon,
I'm pretty sure
podcast if that's your.
I'm still pretty sure that the creators that's usually what they're like. Whatever, it's a cartoon for children.
Because they pepper in little plot facts as the movie goes on. Like, did you notice that Velma mentions losing her glasses cleaning cloth fairly early on, and then we find out that's the personal item that the bad guys used to make a voodoo doll of her.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's I think it's just assumed that they had already taken it from her. Yeah. I don't know.
And they didn't even bother to make dolls of Shaggy and Scooby because they thought that they weren't worth it.
I thought it was going to be like they thought they'd kill themselves at some point, just being Scooby and Shaggy and fucking up everything.
Lena's just like a waste of time and magic wax. And can we talk about how Lena and Simone Lenoir, they get like a little bit more wrinkly and they get like cat noses, but they otherwise pretty much look the same. And then Jock turns into a giant werecat man. And then later in the movie, Lena and Miss Lenoir transform again into like giant werecat people. So apparently they've got a middle stage that's like only part cat that they do for like dramatic effect. And then when they actually have to fuck shit up, they turn into giant cats. But Jock doesn't about right. Around. Jock just goes straight to giant cat man.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Jock is the fairy.
I just think that they did that to make them more intimidating, I guess, because apparently women can't be intimidating on their own without looking
but just go straight to giant
scary cat people.
Don't have a weird halfway step between giant cat and regular person. Like,
no,
I don't know.
Because they're to continue sexualizing women.
They're not now. Especially sexual. That's the thing. Like, they're the least sexy, like, female cat people succubuses that I think exist in any cartoon. And like this Scooby movie, it gets a little bit horny for Scooby-Doo because Velma and Daphne have super short skirts. That's about it. The next one though introduces the Hex Girls, and like, oh my god, that was something for young me. Well, nothing like that in this one.
You have a thing for the Hex Girls?
I mean, I like that movie.
Doesn't have a thing for the Hex Girls.
I don't know.
I like that movie too, but like it did like as far as like that's not what did it for me.
What was it, Tim
I
Curry?
still like that movie though.
But yeah, like that movie, honestly, I think it's a step down from this one because it ends with a giant stuffed turkey chasing the kangaroo. Like, that movie is just silly and dumb. But I love it. But this one, I feel like, kind of keeps a more consistent tone all the way through. Like, it's silly, but it you at least kind of buy that the danger is actual danger for these characters.
Well, and I think that was kind of like the point of like levitating Velma so early on, just to like prove that they're actually dealing with like real monsters or real, bad
I love
guys
like
and not just a dude in a costume.
when they enhance the videotape and there's just clear as day like a pirate ghost
Right?
there.
Like, okay, what kind of bullshit technology? Okay. All
And the part
right.
where Daphne's just like, "Cut, who opened a window?" And we hear that like 3 times and it's like higher pitched every time. Daphne has the highest pitched voice in this movie. Like, not really a big fan of the voices in general because we actually have a different Scooby-Doo and a different Shaggy in this movie. They actually Casey Kasem of the Top 40 Countdown. He was the voice of Shaggy from the late 60s up until around here. Even in A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, he was Shaggy's voice, and it was because they did a Burger King commercial and he wanted Shaggy to be a vegetarian. And they had told him, "Oh, well, anytime you see Shaggy eating a burger, it's a veggie burger." And he had been okay with that for some reason, but then when they put him in a Burger King commercial, he's like, "These aren't veggie burgers," and he quit. That's literally the reason why he's not there in this movie. And Billy West, the voice of Fry in Futurama and the voice of Stimpy on Ren and Stimpy, is doing Shaggy's voice, and it just sounds wrong to me.
I think that's an awesome way to quit a character. That's I find that funny.
Create a character.
I quit because he's not eating veggie burgers. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of a weird hippie guy. It's like when
I
Matthew
need more
Lillard
weird
took over.
hippie guys. Matthew Lillard does a really good job.
I know, like he was so good in the live action movie, they just hired him for the cartoon. But then for the new movie, they got what's his name? Not Frank Welker. Frank Welker is Fred. Will Friedle, the guy from Saturday Night Live.
You mean Will Fort?
Will Forte, yeah.
Forte.
He is just terrible as Shaggy, and then Shaggy in that movie is kind of a bitch. And like I feel like Scott Menville is probably the worst Shaggy because he's Robin from Teen Titans, and I can't unhear it.
Oh, I miss Teen Titans. We should have
Well, it's
finished,
still
damn
on,
it.
just in a slightly different form.
No.
Oh, see, I feel bad for saying I didn't like Daphne's voice because I just looked it up, and that's the character Mary Kay Bergman played. I don't know if we should bring that up.
Go for it.
Okay, Mary Kay Bergman committed suicide not long after this movie. She had already recorded her lines for Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, but I think that was it. She might have also done lines already for Alien Invaders, but yeah, she committed suicide in the late 90s, and she's in this movie. She was on South Park. She was the original voice of Wendy. Just a lot of cartoons from the 90s had her in them.
Tara Strong's in this too, but before she got married.
She's Lena.
Mm-hmm. She's going by her maiden name in that movie.
What is her maiden?
Or at least in the credits.
Tara Cherindle.
Sharondoff?
Yeah, it looks like Cherindorf.
Yeah.
Augustine, any thoughts?
About which part particularly? The voice acting? I mean,
just anything.
As far as the voice acting goes, I mean, I was fine with it because I'm not as familiar with Scooby-Doo as Connor is, aside from the original series. So, I mean, they were fine.
We've only got
for the
one
characters.
returning actor. That's Frank Welker as Fred. Everyone else is a new voice from the original series.
Wait, did they have new voice actors for the CG one?
Yeah, everybody was new in the CG one. That was actually, I think, the first time besides Pup Named Scooby-Doo that we've had a different Fred. It was Zac Efron as Fred. But I think Frank Welker is still getting paid because he managed to position himself as the new Scooby-Doo starting in the early 2000s. Like we have Scott Innes as Scooby-Doo in this one. And then weirdly, I think Scott Innes pulled double duty in the next one, and it was Shaggy and Scooby. But Frank Welker, starting with What's New Scooby-Doo, he took over as the voice of Scooby because Don Messick had actually died shortly before this movie. So they didn't have a Scooby-Doo voice anymore. So Scooby-Doo was kind of up in the air for a while.
Wait, so how old is Scooby-Doo supposed to be? I mean, Great Danes only live like, what, 8 years?
I know. You're always bringing up this morbid fact whenever we talk about Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo lives forever. Scooby-Doo is an eternal dog. Nothing bad is ever going to happen to him, okay?
Okay, you keep telling yourself that.
It's gonna be fine.
I mean, that's why he was being sacrificed for Scooby-Doo the live action. 'Cause he's such a
Oh my
pure
gosh, because
dog.
he was a pure
Live
heart.
forever.
God, and then like that movie took like
I thought it was because his nephew was a piece of shit.
it's just like James Gunn was so upset with Scrappy-Doo, and I don't like Scrappy-Doo, but can I just say he's a little unfairly maligned because people blame him because when he first showed up, it was just regular Scooby-Doo, but he was there. And then like starting with the second season of
Mhm.
Scrappy onward, it was like a 3 short segment show, and they didn't really solve mysteries, and it was just Shaggy and Scrappy and Scooby hanging out, and the rest of the gang was gone. And it's like that's what people didn't like, that the format of the show changed. Like Scrappy himself was annoying, but he wasn't the problem.
Mhm.
No, I disagree. I fucking hate Scrappy-Doo. fuck Scrappy-Doo.
Just give it, just chill out. He's just a puppy. I know the movie said that he was an adult dog with a gland problem. Like that with James Gunn, he specifically said that his intention with that movie was to make it so no one could ever use Scrappy-Doo again.
Have they used Scrappy-Doo since then?
No, he's just shown up as a visual gag in Mystery Inc. once, and I think that's it. I don't think we've seen Scrappy again since then.
I am A-okay with this. His last appearance was 2011, apparently.
Oh, what was
In
that?
a
Was that in
cameo.
Mystery Inc.?
Yeah, Mystery Incorporated.
Yeah, that's the last thing I saw him in.
Oh, no, wait. He was in a crossover for Supernatural? Scooby-Natural?
I saw Scooby Natural. I didn't see him in that.
He was in a cameo.
Oh,
That's
what was it,
weird.
the cameos? So they just give him cameos. But yeah, Scooby Natural, I really didn't like because it involved them encountering real monsters and freaking out. And I'm like, but they've encountered real monsters multiple times, notably in this movie, Zombie Island.
Isn't that their job too? Like
Well, I know, but they mostly encounter
they're
fake
not
monsters.
getting paid for it, apparently.
They mostly encounter fake monsters in their job.
Yeah, but
Are-
I feel like every time to Scooby and Shaggy that they're real until the mask comes off.
I know Scooby and Shaggy need to just chill out for 5 seconds. My favorite line from the live action Scooby-Doo's is in the second one where Shaggy is being attacked by a bunch of monsters and he says, "This is tied for the freakiest day of my life." And Daphne says, "Tied with what?" And he goes, "Every other friggin' day of my life." God. Honestly, the second live action Scooby-Doo was, I don't know if better is the word, but it was closer to what a live action Scooby-Doo movie should have been. Like they were solving a mystery. There was a dude in a mask. There wasn't like Rowan Atkinson hamming it up, and then it turns out he's a robot piloted by Scrappy inside of his chest. Like,
But come on, that's what made it so entertaining.
I
The
know.
plot twist to the plot twist.
I mean, I did enjoy the first live action Scooby-Doo, but I feel like the second one was them getting reined in a little bit and being like, please make it at least a little like the cartoon. Please don't have it be about going on spring break to this weird resort.
Okay, so I'm looking up for Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, and there's this weird thing on the budget where it says it's either 25 million or 80 million.
Oh
And
my
that seems
god.
like a pretty big jump to me.
It's like, what did they do with that extra?
Like,
That
are they
extra
talking
50?
about like they did a tax write-off on it or something? Like tax credits, and that's why it went down from 80 to 25, or what the hell's going on there? I'm gonna have to look this up.
I mean, nobody knows.
That's strange as
But
hell.
it's like that. Those movies continued the tradition of getting like a modern band to do a cover of the original theme song. But I feel like Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island is the first time we've heard that original theme song since like the original Scooby-Doo series in the 60s and early 70s. Because every new Scooby thing had a new theme song, and this just uses the classic one.
I just like the classic one.
Everyone does. This is great. And like the Scooby Movies theme song needs to chill. The Scooby-Doo show theme song, not as good. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, that is a good theme song. The one where they're like, there's a mystery in town. That's a good one.
All right, so I'm looking up why the budget is so different. It's because they have 2 different sources that say completely different budgets. So that's why they're trying to hedge their bets and just say, or this other fucking number.
So they haven't explicitly said like what the budget
I
was?
guess not. these two sites are saying different things. One's like this was 25 million, and the other one's like this was 80 million. So I have no idea.
Remember Seth Green was in that one, the second one.
Was he?
Yeah.
Who did he play in that one?
He was Velma's boyfriend.
Velma's love interest.
Yeah, nobody
Yes.
liked that. Oh, and Velma dressed up in like a leather catsuit for one scene.
I'm assuming you enjoyed that.
No,
fact.
I felt like that was a little bit unnecessary. And you could tell that the writers of that movie were very, very lonely people.
Also, it's okay for Scooby-Doo, or it's not okay for Velma, but it's totally okay for Super Mario Brothers for Lena to wear a catsuit.
Oh god.
With the crack sticking out, by the way.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers. They were on their own nonsense for a while there.
So the latest movie that Velma's actress from the live action Scooby-Doo movies starred in was she was in Avengers Endgame. Wow.
She's in a lot of stuff. Who is she in
Yeah.
Endgame?
Laura Barden is what it says on here.
Oh, she was Hawkeye's wife, I guess.
Yeah, she was also in The Curse of La Llorona.
Oh.
As
I never
Anna
got that
Garcia.
story because like when I went to
Linda
Halloween Horror
Cardellini's
Nights,
been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
oh, she was also weirdly in what do you call it? She was in the Mystery Inc. show, but she didn't play Velma.
Who did she play?
She played a character named Hot Dog Water.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah.
That is a pretty weird name.
I'll call that because apparently when you don't bathe for long enough, fabric has a reaction to your skin and it starts to smell like hot dogs.
Sounds pretty gross.
Yeah, so she was a gross character. She was a gross girl. But then she and Velma like had a thing going for a while. And then like on Twitter a couple weeks ago, somebody who worked on the show was like, yeah, Velma was a lesbian in that show. And it's like, you can't just say that like 10 years later. Like,
and have no reference to it on the show itself.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed to really like Hot Dog Water and they hung out a lot, but apparently they were supposed to be a couple. And it's like, I don't know, it's like with Dumbledore and J.K. Rowling, who's like, Dumbledore was gay the whole time, was me, J.K. Rowling. And we're like, what, really?
Oh god, we're not bringing J.K. Rowling. That's a whole ass other rant.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to say
I
about
know,
her
but right
and her
now it's just
stupidity.
about revealing characters as gay after the fact. We can rant about the rest of her.
Yeah, do none of the work, but try to get those brownie points. Because we put a gay character in there, but there's no evidence that they're gay in the show itself.
Yeah.
Didn't they do the same thing with Thor Ragnarok with that one Valkyrie character?
Oh, Valkyrie, yeah. Well,
they're like she's bi or something.
I think
like,
she is.
Oh, I haven't even seen that, but yeah, there was like a big like.
I was forbidden from watching the movie because of that.
In all the promotional stuff, they're like, "Oh, she's going to be like a first big bisexual character in Marvel," and then there's nothing like that in the movie. There's no evidence of that at all.
That's the thing with Disney is every character is the first. Like, how many first gay characters have we had in Disney movies? I think like 7.
I mean, people don't remember. They're not going to fucking remember.
And then when they're like, Gaston is openly gay, it's like, what? Not Gaston.
It was Gaston's. The other guy.
But like, they had him like look at a man and go, "Ooh," in one scene, and they're like, wow.
And I bet, and they probably cut it out of the Chinese release.
Yeah. Like, honestly,
It's
Disney
so
being like,
cynical.
"Oh, we would totally have gay characters in a movie," but China, and China's like, "Wait, what? What is going on, guys? Nothing." It's like Disney just doesn't want to have gay characters in their movies, and they blame China.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Because I mean, China only allows a certain number of foreign films in there per year anyway. And like, China box office is good, but it's never going to be the equivalent of American box office.
Remember when
don't
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, aren't they really like super fans of Fast and Furious movies anyway? So that's like where.
Are there gay
So if
characters
Disney can own that, then they're set for China. Then they don't have to worry about China.
That's Universal's only thing. Just let Universal be.
I don't remember there being any gay characters in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Interesting point out.
I've seen like the first one of those movies, and then like not even the last one, the second to last one, and my god, there was a jump somewhere because the first one was basically like a less interesting Point Break, and then the last one was like they're traveling the world and stopping like a madman with a nuclear device. It's like, what the hell happened to this series?
They're actually going to go to space soon.
Oh no.
They've run out of ideas.
That's a joke, right? That
I
was a
heard they're
joke,
actually
right?
going to. It says Fast and Furious 9 headed into space.
As in, like they have the negative
Oh
of the
my
film and they're
God.
just shooting it into space because it's so bad. I'm gonna assume that's it.
Well, it says that the cast has been hinting that F9, which releases next year, will be set in space. So
It's just making that coin. Just
man, they really don't give a
Ooh.
fuck anymore.
Can we talk about how this series has like the most ridiculous, like from the second one on with Too Fast, Too Furious, and it's the number 2. Like they have just not given a fuck when it comes to telling their movies.
Well, that's actually I kind of respect that because the titles are so amusing.
Fate of the Furious is the one that I saw. I saw The Fast and the Furious, and I saw the Fate of the Furious. The 2 that I've
No,
seen.
and sometimes you just keep Fast as the title, and then they'll switch it to Furious for the
like
next
Fast
one.
5, Furious 7. I saw a typo where it was Furious Steven, and it's like, that would be a fun movie, just Steven.
Can we just have a crossover with Scooby-Doo and Fast and the Furious?
I mean, there's been a ton of Scooby-Doo crossovers. They crossed over with the WWE. They've crossed over with Kiss. It could happen.
And then you just have Vin Diesel say it's all about family, and he hugs Scooby.
I'd be down for that.
You know
I mean, they
what?
crossed
I
over with
would be
Supernatural.
down for that movie. That would be hilarious.
We're at a point where people just love crossovers. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. You have even like a little bit of suspension of disbelief, and it's fine. It'll work. Doesn't matter.
I mean, the Scooby Gang met Batman recently in a direct-to-video. I mean, they met him first in the 70s, but then they met him again in a direct-to-video movie. And actually, the current Scooby-Doo show is called Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, and every episode is a guest star. And they had Urkel from the 90s sitcom Family Matters show up.
When
this is
did
a
this
show
happen?
from last year. This show from last year. They had Urkel show up.
That's so bizarre because most children won't remember Urkel.
I don't think it's meant for children anymore. Like, at the risk of being indelicate, the way that they draw Velma and Daphne on that show is notably different than how they're drawn in other shows.
Velma looks a bit thick on this show.
She does. As does Daphne.
Are you saying? Did Jaleel White reprise his role in that?
I believe so, yes. Like he spent years trying to distance himself from Urkel, and then he's like, well, my chance to be on Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, after that, wasn't he involved in some abuse allegation or something?
Was he? I don't know. I don't keep up with Jaleel White. Maybe I ought to.
Yeah. I'll look into it. I remember hearing something about that.
But
it seems to have been scrubbed from his Wikipedia. Oh well.
Are you thinking of Gary Coleman?
No, it was remember seeing a news article about it a few years ago.
I just dumped into the general here.
What did you dump in there? Yeah.
Yeah, and you may notice Daphne is a little bit thicker than normal.
Huh?
In the general, the picture he sent.
Oh.
It looks like they're working on an Urkel bot.
What the hell?
Yeah, no, this was real. This all really happened.
Oh yeah, so the Jaleel White thing, it was an ex-girlfriend who accused him of that.
Oh, did he get in trouble?
Verbal and physical abuse. Well, it says he was cleared of them, so I don't know what happened there. Oh well, just interesting trivia, I guess.
Yeah.
That was like 8 years ago.
I mean, I guess they also had Weird Al on the show, so I mean, maybe all's forgiven. But yeah, it's just a free for all with crossovers. But we wouldn't have really any Scooby-Doo stuff today if it weren't for Zombie Island, because it brought back the Scooby-Doo thing.
I mean, it'd been gone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was just gonna say, I still think it's just a good movie overall. Great. Like, there's just a few things that I'm just like peeved at.
Well, like
Like
what?
what?
Tell us.
Well, just a couple of things, like appropriating like the voodoo thing, which is clearly an African American thing and not like white people doing that. I just hate that trope so much where you have like, and it happens in horror, I feel like a lot of the times, where you have like white people doing like rituals that are not, by white people, they're by either, indigenous people or whatever. And the outcomes are like they're just evil or bring a demon or something stupid in that regard. And I just find that just really annoying. It's like, why can't just these white evil people just be evil without like bringing in
Because
without
then there wouldn't
culturally
be
appropriating?
zombies.
They could have done something else, or they could have made the characters, again, or like it, like just.
But I mean, they're not practicing hoodoo. They're worshiping a cat
No,
god.
it's voodoo. Yeah, but the voodoo dolls, like you could have done something else with that, you know? And like on a side tangent to that, like I think it would have been more I mean, granted, this is a kids movie and I think I'm overanalyzing it a bit too much, but I think it would have been cool to like explore the lore of that. It was just like cat gods gave us power. So did they know they had to make voodoo dolls? Or like did they know they have to keep like basically sucking the souls out of people? Like were they given the list of directions? Like I need some more answers here with how it works.
Wait, so I completely blanked. Where did the cat god stuff come from? Like
They worship the cat god, and
that was their religion originally?
Yeah, it was their original religion, and they prayed to the cat god to give them power, and they were given that power. And so the cat god's real.
So should we be following the one true cat god? Is that what this movie is telling me?
The cat god is 100% real, and I brought this up before we started recording. Apparently, this script began life. Its genesis was a script that was written for the show SWAT Cats and was never produced. About Cataluna Island. That was the name of the island originally. And
nice.
One of the cat people who lived there, because everyone's a cat person on SWAT Cats, was going to be a succubus who was trying to drain the main character of his life force. And it never got produced, and then it got sort of reworked into this movie, which kind of explains why there are cat people and a cat god in the movie, but still not really.
I mean,
the concept was different, at least.
Yeah.
And also, Scooby is a dog, so why not have him face off against a cat? I mean, it makes sense from that perspective.
See, I'm over here with the Wikipedia article. So apparently, the African practice is Vodun, the Haitian practice is Vadao, and the deep Southern version is Hoodoo. Look at us learning. But the dolls are never identified as voodoo dolls in the movie, I don't think.
They're borrowing the iconography because they're in Louisiana.
It's true, but I don't think those are made out of wax.
Yeah. I mean, I don't approve
said
of
magic
it.
wax.
Yeah, no, I don't think that the real voodoo dolls are made out of wax.
Yeah, this is just them appropriating it for the purposes of, we're in the South and, children.
I mean, it's a Louisiana thing. Their whole kind of deal with this series was they were trying to take advantage of, like, instead of just random monster in random place, like how there was like a medieval knight in the middle of Middle America in the show, they were trying to sort of match whatever monster they were facing to the part of America they were in, which is why the next one is they go to Salem and they're attacked by a witch. And then the one after that is they're in Nevada and they get attacked by aliens. Because, like, that's what the folklore is about that place.
And see, that part is fine. It's just the appropriation that just kind of bugged me. It sucks. I feel like it just really sucks sometimes rewatching stuff as an adult because it's like, oh wow, that's a little bit problematic, and no one said anything about it.
Okay, you're telling me. I remember when they had like when they would re-air like Looney Tunes, and they had like a bunch of racist shit on there. Like it's blatantly
they would cut
racist.
The blackface out of the TV airing.
But I was watching like VHS copies.
Oh no!
That had the racism still in there.
Did you ever hear of the Censored 11?
What's that?
When Warner Brothers made their big TV deal to put Looney Tunes on TV, there were 11 cartoons, Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, that Warner Brothers said just they can't be edited for television. It's impossible. We will never air these. And
Oh no! What am I looking at?
and this is like, I believe this was in the 60s.
Wait,
they
did
made
you
this
send
list.
something?
No, I didn't send anything yet. I'm just
Oh
looking
no, I just
at
sent
it.
a picture of a doll.
No,
He
no,
does-
but I'm going to send something right now
Right,
that I
that's
found.
11. We got
Jesus
Coal
Christ.
Black and the Seven Dwarves. That's the only one of them I've seen. Because people were saying like, oh well, it's racist, but it's really great animation, and it's not that great animation. People just want to make excuses.
For the historical value, they're trying to make excuses. I mean, you can know something exists. You don't have to really watch it for entertainment anymore.
I
let me
maintain the
find-
best animated version of Snow White is the Betty Boop cartoon of Snow White. And yes, it's better than the Disney version. Fight me.
Right, I'm uploading it. There you go.
At 11. Yeah. Uncle Tom's Bungalow.
Oh goodness.
God, that's from
Okay,
Coal
so
Black and the Seven
explain the
Dwarfs.
censored. So explain this.
When they made a TV
7.
deal, Warner Brothers, to air Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes on TV,
Mhm.
most of the cartoons that had racist stuff in them were like the racist stuff was edited out because it was only like 1 or 2 jokes. When there were 11 cartoons where the racist content was so pervasive you couldn't edit around it, so they just put them on a list and said never air these on TV, and it's 11 cartoons that were never aired on TV.
Jesus.
I don't know if you're aware, probably are, but before these cartoons were airing on TV, they were shorts that would play before movies in the theater.
Right.
Right. So like in theaters in the 1930s, this stuff was okay. And then on TV in, I want to say the 60s, it was like, no, this isn't. And just imagine how racist you have to be for people back then to be like,
This is a little too overt. Yeah.
yeah, censored 11, 1968. Okay, so segregation had just ended. I believe Martin Luther King was shot that year. I might be wrong, but it's like this was not a time when people were enlightened about racism, and yet they looked at these cartoons and said, "No, these are a little too racist." Yeah, no, that was the year that was the year Martin Luther King was shot. So yeah, I guess maybe in light of that, they decided to not air the racist cartoons.
I mean, maybe.
That might be
it's hard
giving
to-
them too much
It's hard
credit.
to tell because we're so influenced with the idea of Martin Luther King as like, people love him now, but people fucking hated him in the 60s.
They did. But it's like the late 60s was not a time of like enlightenment in terms of racism, and yet these cartoons
Were
were
too much.
they were too much. They were like, it's the 1960s. They cut black people out of shows that air in the South. They did that back then.
Mm-hmm.
And yet
Oh, I was gonna say, like, my sister actually sent me this yesterday. As far as well, since we're talking about like South, so you know how like in the South, country is probably more prevalent in the South than any other place in the U.S.
Wait, what is?
That's my assumption.
Country
music?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So there was this thing she sent me saying that apparently like country radio stations don't play female artists back to back. It's basically like frowned upon or whatever. And so like it was saying, what did the person say?
Like every country artist I can think of is a woman. Like I guess Brad Paisley's the only male one I even know. Like Dolly Parton,
right,
Reba McEntire. I don't know many.
Carrie Underwood.
Taylor Swift, arguably.
Well, she started off on country and then moved over to pop, and now she just
what even is a male
does
country
whatever.
singer? Brad Paisley is kind of like his own thing. Like he does novelty songs. He's not a real country singer.
Apparently, it's an unwritten rule for country DJs. There's no more than 15 minutes of female country songs per set, and playing them back to back is frowned upon.
Wow.
I just thought that was like wild because I don't listen to country, like I don't listen to country music and I don't listen to radio really anymore because we all have like Spotify or Pandora or whatever your preference is. But I was just like, what the fuck? Like you're saying, Connor, I feel like I know more female country artists than like male country
I
artists.
can't even
So
think of any except Brad Paisley. But I don't really listen to country.
I don't either. Sorry, just random side tangent. We were talking about the South.
South.
And
Yeah, I
how
know,
they
and that's
they,
where
Yeah,
they
and
the
didn't play
practice of
an appropriation in Scooby-Doo.
Louisiana voodoo, as it
Mhm.
were. And it's like it is kind of because it was very like in the original show there would just be like random monsters that didn't really have to do with whatever location they were in. Like once they
Mhm.
fought a gold rush miner, presumably in California, but we never really got an explicit location for most Scooby-Doo episodes. And like the Chinese themed episode, they fought like skeleton men, and it's like, that's not a Chinese thing. It's just skeletons. Like if they had fought like those hopping vampires, Jiangxi, then like there would have been some sort of theming at least. But like this is the first Scooby-Doo thing that really tried to tie the monster to a specific place. And yet it
Mhm.
did it problematically. Like honestly, Witch's Ghost, I'm there for most of the movie, and then like a giant roasted turkey is attacking everybody, and it's like, wow, this is just dumb now.
That's when they went too far for you.
Well, the thing is,
Too much for a kids movie. Too much.
the studio actually stepped in on Witch's Ghost. They did not have very much oversight on Zombie Island, which I think is pretty evident that nobody was really checking in on them for most of this movie. Because they go a little like the part where Freddy and Daphne and Shaggy are like tossing a severed head back and forth.
Zombie head. Who cares?
Well, it's a severed head. I mean, like it gets a little bit like,
I mean,
we're
it's
screwing you.
rotting. I mean, that's what I find weird about zombies is that they're rotting corpses, and yet we still put them in children's cartoons.
Yeah,
Like
I mean
there's
these
like
zombies.
it's like a removal there for some reason.
This is some like
In what they are.
classic '90s monster design. These zombies, like they are great. And Terror Time Again. Can we talk about that montage where it plays Terror Time Again by Sky Cycle?
Sure, go ahead.
I feel like that's peak Scooby Doo because we get like slapstick nonsense of Shaggy and Scooby like bumping into trees like they're in a pinball machine. We get this amazing backing track. We get a bunch of running away from monsters. Like I feel like that's the moment that Scooby Doo as a whole peaked. If all that existed was a montage of Scooby and Shaggy running away from zombies set to Terror Time, I think that would be enough. And
The
then
rest of the movie doesn't need to make sense.
Snakebite
That's
Scruggs
it. I'm
comes in.
good. Snake
Remember
bites.
he grabs them with his fishing hook. Oh, and then did you notice that when Shaggy's trying to go across the gap, a zombie actually hands him a vine. He's trying to rescue Scooby. And it's like it seems like
Mhm.
just a random gag like they would do sometimes in the monster chases, but no, the zombie is actually trying to help him because the zombies are good. So even in this musical montage of running from the zombies, we still get the plot worked in.
I mean, there was definitely a lot of effort put into the movie. I wouldn't say it's lazy at all, actually. I can't think of a
Mhm.
moment
Oh,
where
it's
I'm like
amazing.
they really cheaped out. And for direct-to-video especially, like it's
Yeah.
impressive.
I mean, direct-to-video usually has like a slightly higher budget than TV, but it's nowhere near like theatrical feature.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the level of like in Japan with their OVAs.
Oh, the
OVAs.
OVAs are
Yeah, OVAs.
crazy. But
Yeah, where they get a pretty good budget.
$100 for videotape over there. That's why they can do that.
Well, yeah, it's
Do you
true.
think that Zombie Island was that the peak time for direct to video too?
I
At that
feel
time?
like because direct-to-video, Michael Eisner was the one that started with the Disney direct-to-video sequels, and I feel like that was
Yeah.
like Return of Jafar was the first one, and I want to say that was like 94 because I know that Aladdin and the 40 Thieves was 96, and I remember that from just my childhood. But I'd have to look up the release dates.
Yeah, I think that direct-to-video really did peak like in the late 90s, 2000s as far
Yeah.
as like quality level. But I
Yes.
mean, I don't think we've ever like gone away from that. It's just now all video on demand.
The one thing is,
Yeah.
this movie is very, very anime. I feel it was animated in Japan, And I guess I don't know what it is. It's just something about that style of animation that looks very anime to me, like Daphne with her, like the way Daphne looked, especially. Yeah,
Yeah, I could see some influence there.
yeah. And the direct-to-video Batman Beyond movie actually had one of the same animation directors as Akira. So they did this big sequence where Joker fires like a laser from his satellite, and they actually got the guy that did that scene from Akira to recreate it.
Wait, they got him to recreate it?
Yeah, that's one of the animation directors had worked on Akira, so they said just do the same scene you did in Akira with a satellite, and he just did it.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
surprising
that.
amount of anime references in the Batman cartoon. Like there's scenes that are straight out of Castle of Cagliostro, and then multiple times where somebody rides up on a motorcycle and hops off the same way Canada does. Just because that's a cool way to hop off of a motorcycle.
I mean, I just hope they never do a live action version of Akira because
Oh God,
that would be a mess.
they've been threatening to do that for years.
It's ever since the movie came out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you remember that there's a gang, motorcycle gang called the Jokers in Akira? Or I think they're called the Clowns.
No, yeah, I remember,
But
but
their boss is named Joker. And then like in
Mhm.
Batman Beyond, there's a motorcycle gang called the Jokers.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because Batman Beyond is really cyberpunk.
Yeah, they're so blatant about it's just Akira in Batman Beyond. Like
Well, maybe fewer psychics, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah. Well, there is an episode where psychics show up. They're not quite the same, but
Well, nobody mutates like at the end of that
oh,
movie.
they
That's
do
for sure.
though. Ooh, I'm
Well,
here with my
well,
Batman Beyond facts.
when? I don't remember.
The
Like,
Chimera episode. Did you ever see
oh
that one?
no, I remember that. But I mean like gory, violent shit like in that movie.
Well, that's true. It's not as gory and violent, but he still does become a big blob like Tetsuo.
Batman Beyond. It's been
Yeah.
oh my god, but it's been like so long since I've
It was a great
watched it.
show.
I want a sequel series. I mean, I
Well,
know
like
that they did eventually have a finale
where
in
another
Justice
kid
League
takes
Unlimited.
over being Batman, or
No, where Terry's just an adult and Bruce is dead or something.
I
and
feel
he's
like
just Batman.
Robin, like Max should have become the new Robin or something because she kept like teaming up with Batman and helping him fight crime, but she never got a costume or anything.
God, okay, so I'm reading like the plot. Like I just pulled up Batman Beyond on Wikipedia, and I'm reading like the very first sentence for the plot. The pilot episode begins on June 21st, 2019.
Oh no! But isn't that with old Batman? Yeah, that's with old Batman. So the
I
actual
just
main
thought
action
that
takes
was
place later.
funny.
Wait, let me
Oh,
look it up.
God.
I am curious now.
Yeah, that's the scene with old Batman where he's rescuing Summer Gleason.
Yeah, and he
when
has a heart
retires.
attack. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, and he has to use
I'm
a
just
gun.
Okay, you're right because it's set in 2039, the main series. But
Yeah.
when Batman had his heart attack and had to retire, it was 2019. Okay, that's reasonable.
I just thought that
That's
was
reasonable.
funny. The 2039 is like not that far
No,
away.
so we got to be ready.
Yeah,
for
we
kids getting their
gotta.
DNA spliced.
We don't want to disappoint the children, and ourselves with
Because like we already
2039
fucked
not
up on
being that
Back to the
great.
Future. Okay,
Yeah, we
I
didn't
was
put
gonna
our-
say the hoverboards, like yeah, the Back to the. I was just gonna say that Back to the Future, the hoverboards, the fashion.
Well, you can
I
get the
still
hat, the
want-
rainbow hat.
Yeah, where are cars run off of trash? That would actually be, great real life concept. Instead of having Trash Island in the middle of the ocean, but
The hover
whatever.
conversions on all your cars.
Yeah, remember when hoverboards came out? And they're
And they
like
were
I saw it, I was like, that's not a hoverboard. That's not a hover. What? That's not a hoverboard. It's just a move.
It's just like a prototype for a real hoverboard. Okay, those aren't real hoverboards.
Yeah.
They're like the shitty prototype.
It was Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis apparently lied in an interview and said that Mattel just gave them their prototype hoverboards for the movie and said, "Oh well, they can't release them because they're afraid they get sued. They're too dangerous." And for years, people believed that, and they wrote into Mattel to ask for hoverboards until finally, I don't know, somebody did some sort of announcement that like they're not real. Stop it! Stop messaging us.
I mean, I mean, it was also pre-internet where everybody has, they can go online. I mean, even now with the internet, there might be even more misinformation. So
Yeah.
it's not hard to believe.
I feel like there's more information, more misinformation now, but the internet is.
Oh, you know how like the Space Jam website is still up?
I did not know this.
Oh yeah, the Space Jam website
What?
from 1996. Warner Brothers never took it down, so it's kind of like an infamous thing. You can go there and see like a web 1996 style movie promotion. But
Oh my
this
god, it
recent,
is! I literally just typed in spacejam.com. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness!
And it
Like,
popped up.
this recent article tried to spin
Popped
it like
up.
a ragtag group of programmers made this website. It's like, no ragtag group of programmers made this. Warner Brothers made this to promote Space Jam and then just forgot to take it down. And like at this point, like somebody discovered a couple years ago that it was still up, and I think Warner's just keeping it up to be funny now. Like I'm pretty sure it was an oversight behind the jam.
Yeah, because on the website, I clicked on Warner Studio Store, and it takes me right to the WB web, Warner Brothers shopping site. So yeah, wow, that's crazy. That's hilarious.
Technology shapes art. Amazingly rapid progress in the application of computers to the field of animation.
Trivia quiz. I'm like all into this now. Like,
Yeah.
what?
We can all learn about Space Jam. We've gotten a little off from Scooby-Doo, but this is still a movie in the 90s that was mostly animated. Oh, where did you see Trivia Quiz? Is that under Jam Central?
I clicked. Where did I? Oh god, there's.
I want to
Forgot
take
where
the
I
Trivia
was.
Quiz. I got the Jump Station.
Where did I type? Oh, typed on the lineup, and then
the lineup
from there typed on games,
games?
and then it took me to the trivia quiz.
Ooh, games. It spins? Oh my gosh. What rival calls Bugs a long-eared galoot? I think that's Yosemite Sam. Yay. See, Space Jam is similar in that it was bringing back the Looney Tunes characters the same way this was bringing back the Scooby-Doo characters. And I believe Hanna-Barbera, it was bought by Turner, and then Turner was bought by Warner. So this was WB behind this one, too. And they were really concerned about kind of revamping the various cartoon brands they owned. How old is Bugs Bunny? Wait a second. So it's counting from the 30s, but it's starting, like, it's counting from the 90s to the 30s. So I'm going to say 56 years old. Yes! Who provided the voice for Bugs Bunny? It's Mel Blanc. Duh. A wild hair. Yep, I'm fucking killing the trivia quiz over here.
I'm killing this trivia.
What two characters were created before Bugs Bunny? Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. You silly boy. Right. What is printed on Wile E. Coyote's business card? Wile E. Coyote Genius. What? It said not found. I killed it. I can't find the request URL. But that's what it says on his business card, right? Wile E. Coyote Genius?
I have no idea, honestly. I don't really
Oh,
keep
no.
up with Wile E.
I had to
Coyote.
intentionally say a wrong answer because it wouldn't let me continue. But when I hit the right answer, it just says URL not found. It's impossible. I can't beat the Space Jam trivia quiz. I was doing so well.
Are you disappointed in yourself?
Yes. How far did you? Well, I know the answer. It just it glitches out when I click the right answer. How far did you get in the Space Jam trivia quiz, Jessica?
Oh, I just stopped. I was clicking on other things.
Stop! Come on.
I mean, it doesn't help when you're saying all the answers. I'm slower at reading. I wouldn't have made it that far.
I
got the first
swear that's
one.
what it
That
says
was
on his
it.
business card, and yet it glitches out when I click it. I mean, in fairness, I did used to work for Warner Brothers, but it's not like they indoctrinate you on all the Looney Tunes trivia when you do that. Here we go. Look, I found it. That's what it says.
Have brain,
Will
will travel.
It's a reference to Have Gun Will Travel.
That's those are some mighty big qualifications there.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
Wiley
I
those
have
Coyote.
a
those
brain and
letters
I will
cost
travel.
letters cost a lot for a business card. He's got to save up on all his equipment.
I suppose so.
We've all seen American Psycho, right?
Yeah, what about it?
No.
Oh no,
Oh,
there's a
you
scene where
haven't? Oh.
there's a scene where all the guys are comparing their business cards, and it's ridiculous.
Okay, there's a lot of disturbing things in that movie, but honestly, I love that movie as a comedy. It's so good. Do you agree, Connor?
I don't know. I might have seen it when I was too young. I just got kind of bored with it.
No, you should rewatch it.
Is American Psycho a play first and then a movie, or a movie?
No, it was a
book
novel.
Play?
Yeah, a very
Is there a
disturbing
play?
novel. There might be at this point.
But it was a book.
I think so.
The
Mhm.
novel's really disturbing though, because it goes a lot more into like rape and murder, whereas in the movie they cut out a lot of that.
Well, yeah,
And
like I
it's
wasn't sure
Mhm.
if he was actually killing anybody in that movie. I
well,
know
no,
he was.
that's even in the book. It's hard to tell if he's just imagining
Well,
it or
no,
not. But
beyond whether he's imagining it, like he would watch videos of presumably himself murdering people, but I thought he was just watching horror movies. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, that's something that's also brought up in the novel. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when he tries to feed the ATM machine a kitten or a cat or
Oh,
whatever.
poor cat.
That was great. But yeah, the business card scene where he's like, "Wow, this is the off-white color. What did he say? The decadent thinness of it, or something,
God,
something
Mhm.
like that." And
he's a bad
he's
cat.
just so jealous.
Oh, have you seen they made I think it was a Funny or Die sketch where Huey Lewis invites Weird Al back to his apartment and puts on American Psycho to play for him? And it's the scene where Christian Bale is describing Sports by Huey Lewis, but I think it was Sports. I don't know what album it was he was describing, but instead of that, he's describing American Psycho to Weird Al, and then he murders Weird Al for parodying his songs.
No, I haven't seen
Okay.
And
that.
they got the real Huey Lewis and the real Weird Al for that, which is like, I guess they didn't have anything better to do.
I suppose
All right.
not.
So it was
It was what?
not a play per se, but they did make it into a music. That's pretty interesting.
Into a musical?
Mhm.
What kind of songs are in the American Psycho musical?
I have no idea.
I
Just
wonder if
remember
they
I was
sing Huey
watching.
Lewis. What, you were watching it?
I just remember. No. I was watching a YouTuber critiquing Hamilton, and like they won, like they were talking about like they just won too many awards like for stupid shit. Like they felt like some other musicals should have won an award for, and they
That's
talked
not
about
all.
American Psycho. Something about American Psycho should have won awards for like best lighting or something in that regard. That's why it
Well, if
popped
it
up
was
in my
winning
head.
awards at the same time as Hamilton, then of course the play couldn't have come before the movie. The movie's 20 years old. Let me see here.
Oh, no, don't they redo plays all the time?
Are redo plays eligible for the Tonys? I thought only new stuff. Oh my
Oh,
God,
I don't know. I'm
Roberto
not super
Aguirre
into the
Sacasa.
Tonys.
I mean, can't you win for best adapted or something?
Well, yeah, but if it's a restaging of a previous play, I don't know if you can.
Oh no, they also have best revivals.
Oh, okay. But I mean,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be up against Hamilton, would it? Hamilton.
Mm.
Anyway,
Mm.
I just found out that
I mean,
Roberto Aguirre
I didn't.
Sacasa, the showrunner of Riverdale, made the American Psycho musical.
Okay, my hopes aren't too high then, because I don't really like Riverdale.
You don't like Riverdale?
Nah, Riverdale's kind
I've
of
never
trash.
watched Riverdale, but I
Oh
don't
my
feel
gosh.
comfortable with sexualizing teenagers.
Well, that you
over and
have a
over.
valid point, except they're all played by like 25-year-old people.
They're all like 30 years old.
Yeah, they're all 30 now. They were 25 when the show
Yeah,
started. They're
but
not real teens.
Like the actress who plays Veronica, she was like 24, 25 when they first started.
And it's like, I don't think
filming.
anybody's gonna watch Riverdale and then go out and like molest teens. Like that's.
I mean, if they do, they were
Yeah, they were probably gonna
already
do that
fucked up
anyway.
people. Yeah.
It's like I can't really defend it, but at the very least, I think that they're all clearly adults, no matter what. It's the same with the Scooby-Doo kids. Bringing it back to Scooby-Doo.
Regardless,
Velma's
oh,
not
wait.
15.
Well, I'm not sure what anybody's age is because they definitely don't.
Well, they don't
Where the
age, but
fuck
they
are their
don't look like
parents?
kids.
Yeah, where the fuck are their parents?
Their parents are in Mystery Inc. If you really want to see their parents. I mean, do
Yeah,
you
but they're
really
not
want to see them?
involved in their lives. Like if
Oh, in
Velma's
Mystery Inc. they
15,
totally are.
like how?
How? Velma
Yeah,
works
like
for
what
their
do they do?
museum, and her mom reads her blog, and it's a whole thing on Mystery Inc.
Okay, I don't think reading your child's blog is parenting.
Oh, but she follows her around. Like, you just haven't seen Mystery Inc. The parents are a pretty big part of that show.
Okay, well, yeah, I haven't seen the newer stuff. I'm talking about like the original series.
No, the
Like,
original stuff we never saw the parents. Shaggy's dad was
yeah.
a fucking cop in the pup named Scooby-Doo show, but it never really came up again. Here we go. Here's all the parents for you.
I actually really liked a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah,
And it
a
was like
fun
the
show.
first time they went back to the classic formula of the 4 kids together solving mysteries. Like there was a really long time where it was just like Scooby and Scrappy and Shaggy wandering around and like getting into like road races with Frankenstein and teaching at schools for monsters and solving mysteries along with ghosts. Oh, the
I mean,
13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo.
Jessica, do you have an opinion on a pup named Scooby-Doo?
No, because it's been like forever. A lot
Wait.
of the stuff it's been so long. I don't
There
even
were
remember
only-
actually sitting down and watching all of it, to be
There
honest.
were only 27 episodes of a pup named Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, I mean that's how they did shows back then.
Season 3 was only 3 episodes.
Oh no.
And season 4 was only 3 episodes.
So they did one big first season and they were just like, eh.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, they just gave up.
So speaking of Velma, what are our thoughts on Hayley Kiyoko as Velma in the TV movies?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with it.
I
I
forgot
didn't
that
watch
even
it,
existed, but like was Velma like I don't think she was supposed to be Asian before. They just kind of changed it up for that one movie and then never again.
Wait,
well,
so
just kind of that annoying
Hmm.
thing where you bring a person of color for one thing and then just don't really utilize it. That's just it. But I do like Hayley
Yeah.
Kiyoko. That's a separate tangent.
wait, they were live action made for
Yeah, there were
Made
2 of them.
for
They
Just
basically after
on
the first 2
TV.
theatrical ones, they couldn't get they couldn't get all the actors back and they didn't want to spend the money, so they did 2 direct to TV ones. They weren't
wow.
great.
No.
And
That's a
they didn't
long
live
time
in
ago.
Coolsville, I don't think. Or no, it was Mystery Inc. where they didn't live in Coolsville. They lived in Crystal Cove, which is like, no, they're from Coolsville.
So funny. Coolsville. Does Fred not have a mom? I'm still looking at the
No,
picture.
Fred's mom died mysteriously, and it's part of the overarching mystery of the show is what happened to his mom. His dad is actually a
I
very
like
sinister
how
character,
I like how they all have the same color scheme
except for
except
Fred's
Fred and his
dad.
dad.
Because like Fred's dad is the mayor of the town, and he's very embarrassed by Fred's mystery solving, and basically it comes to light that Fred's dad actually may be responsible for the deaths of Fred's real parents. Yeah, and
Wow,
he's
that took a
not Fred's
dark
real
turn.
father. Well, I mean, like okay, Mystery Inc. It's very self-awarely dark, whereas like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, I feel like it went dark with Scooby-Doo, but like it knew what it was doing. Like
Mhm.
Scooby-Doo and Mr. Inc. was like, oh, you weren't expecting us to go dark, were you? We totally blew your mind. It's like, not really. You just kind of unnecessarily included dark themes in this Scooby-Doo show. But it's fun. I like Mystery Inc. They have kind of a different style for the characters. And there's like
Mhm.
it's like Twin Peaks where there's like an overarching mystery. They even go to the Red Room in one episode from Twin Peaks, but like it's never satisfying when there's an overarching mystery for a show because it's never worth it.
Yeah,
Basically,
it's hardly ever worth it, yeah.
there's a
Agreed.
demon that lives under the ground in Crystal Cove, and it's been manipulating people over the centuries to form gangs of 4 humans and 1 animal because that's what's needed in order to release it. So like the first Mystery Inc. was like 4 kids and a talking parrot that solved crimes back in the 60s. And now the modern kids are, 4 kids and a talking dog. And the reason they're talking animals is because they are descendants of the Anunnaki. Which, I bet you were always wondering why Scooby could talk. Now we know.
Wait, why can he talk?
He's a descendant of the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
That's seriously the what they went with.
Yeah, the Anunnaki are a group of deities who appear in the mythological traditions of the ancient
Oh
Sumerians,
no.
Akkadians, Assyrians, and Babylonians.
Why can't he just be a talking cartoon dog?
Because that's not serious enough. But basically, they open up this portal, this demon comes out, they defeat the demon, everything gets redone, and then that was the end of the show. And it's like, wow, that was what the whole series was building up to. And
You know
also,
what?
Hot Dog Water gets shot off screen by a Nazi robot.
Okay, well, my favorite excuse for the Scooby-Doo character speaking was in the Venture Brothers when they had the knockoff Shaggy and
Oh,
Scooby,
and he was like the son of Sam.
and he was just really on. He was like a drug addict, and that's why
Yeah.
he's the only one who can hear his
Well,
Scooby.
all of
characters
them were
talk.
based on real serial killers. The whole like fake
Yeah.
Scooby gang. He was Sonny because he was the son of Sam, who claimed that his dog told him to kill people. And then Freddie was Teddy. He was Ted Bundy, and Daphne was Patty. She was based on Patty Hearst. And Velma was based on. She was Val. She was based on the woman that shot Andy Warhol.
Yeah, the Groovy Gang.
Yeah, they were all real serial killers just going on. Okay, not serial killers, but criminals. Criminals.
Well, yeah, and Patty Hearst was she the one who was kidnapped in Berkeley or something?
Yeah, she was kidnapped in People's Park. Yep, and she joined the group
Yeah.
that kidnapped her and robbed a bank.
Yeah, that's some serious Stockholm syndrome right there.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the
Well,
people
wasn't
for
that
whom
the claim though that she was claiming that?
Oh, she
Yeah, that
claimed that
was
she
her
was
defense.
coerced into robbing the
Yeah.
bank, which I mean, I kind of buy that because she was kidnapped by those people, but and then
Yeah.
in Venture Brothers, she was kidnapped by Teddy, who was Ted Bundy. Yeah. And he kept saying that they were on the way to visit her parents. That was the darkest episode of Venture Brothers, I think, and it was also the only one not written by the show's creators. It's written by Ben Edlund, the creator of The Tick.
And he made one of the darker episodes of the Venture
Yeah.
Brothers.
In the Venture Brothers art book, they say it was because they hadn't really explained to him what the tone of the show was supposed to be. But like, you could have rewritten it. Like, come on.
Or you could have just watched an old episode.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not that long. They're like 20 minutes long.
Well, this is only the second season, so they were all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, the show didn't really find its footing until like season 3.
Yeah. I mean, I like the second season the best, but it's because I really love the finale. Like, rewatching it now, like, they say that the way they did it was they would do the script for the finale first. And once you know that, because, like, the show never adequately leads into the finale. The episode before the finale is always, like, random, unrelated nonsense.
Mm.
Yeah, it's true too. Shame
Never
about the
watched
show getting
Venture
canceled.
Brothers.
You're
Oh.
missing out. You're missing
Yeah,
out.
now that it's
technically.
canceled, you don't have to worry about any pesky new episodes getting in your way.
Well, considering it's like 3-4 years between seasons, she
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have to worry anyway.
Like, my
Even if
God.
they were still ongoing.
It was getting a little bit stupid by the end.
I felt that there was a slight downgrade. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the concept of season 6, where they're dealing with superheroes like explicitly,
Yeah.
and they're rich now. But I don't know. It was only like 7 episodes long, right?
Then
If I
again, they
remember
always
correctly.
lived on a giant compound and had their own private jet. So, like,
Yeah, but they were like bankrupt though.
they always had enough money for jet fuel.
Yeah, they did. Well, it was mostly because Rusty was always doing illegal shit to get money, but
Oh, yeah.
and then by season 6, he's just incompetently running his brother's company.
Yeah. What a silly program that was.
Yep.
There's a lot of Scooby-Doo parodies on there, or I guess just one big one.
A
But
lot of Johnny Quest stuff.
yeah, Hanna-Barbera in general. I
Mhm.
feel like, because I went back and watched Johnny Quest, and like Dr. Quest does not want Johnny getting involved in the adventures. He constantly tells Johnny to stay home because it's too dangerous. And I feel like he's been really misrepresented on Venture Brothers.
With the entire concept of the show.
Yeah, with like Dr. Venture being just ridiculously callous about putting his son into danger. Like Dr. Quest wasn't like that.
Well, to be fair, if I were Dr. Quest and I actually cared, I wouldn't travel with my child at all.
Well, they don't. They tell him to stay home in multiple episodes, and he sneaks onto their plane. Maybe they should have checked the plane. I know, but
Yeah,
like,
maybe they should put security. Maybe they should turn back. I don't know.
uh,
But okay, regardless, you know who else is irresponsible? The Scooby-Doo gang's family. Yeah, they're
well, yeah.
irresponsible
Well,
too.
they don't want them to solve mysteries on Mystery Inc. They're very anti-mystery solving.
Okay, but on Zombie Island, they definitely don't give
Well,
a
they're
shit.
all adults on Zombie Island. Like, I
Oh,
don't care what
supposedly,
she's running
supposedly.
her own bookstore. No teen does that. No teen works as a
She's
customs
also the
enforcement
only
officer.
she's the only employee too, apparently.
It's true. And like the guy on the phone like asks about 3 different books, and she comes down with a stack of like 20.
She's not no wonder she's not getting any business. She can't run the bookstore.
God. Remember, she tells like that hunky detective at the end. Pose a detective who was working undercover, by the way. Spoilers.
Okay,
Um,
wait, before we move on with that. So he's making the giant holes around, right? Why didn't they murder him earlier?
well, he's only been there for a couple months, and
That's
presumably
enough.
the harvest moon. How often does the harvest moon happen? Is that a once a year thing, or is that a?
I don't remember. Jessica, do you remember when the harvest moon was?
No, but I want to say, why wouldn't it every year?
So like
Yes,
they have to sacrifice someone every year.
I think. I
Oh,
don't
it's the
know.
full moon closest the autumnal equinox, so once a year. So if he's only been there
Yeah,
for a
so it
couple
is
months, he
once a
wasn't there
year.
for the last harvest moon, and they were always planning to use him as the sacrifice. Like they had a doll made for him.
Well, I guess he just didn't suspect that law enforcement would send somebody to investigate why so many people are disappearing
He
on the
came with
fucking island.
excellent references. Remember, he came with excellent references. That's what Simone says
In her, yeah,
in her Cajun accent, her
her,
Creole accent.
yeah.
No, I
Tara
would
Strong.
argue that it's more Frenchy, but I guess.
Well, Tara Strong has a completely different accent than Simone, but I mean,
Yeah, no, I meant Simone.
The French Quarter is a French accent. I mean, it's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's more.
and then what's
French.
his name? The ferry owner. Oh, Jock. It's like only a fool would go looking for them in there. Just
Yeah, that's Cajun for sure.
oh my god,
Argue
Jock.
that's more Cajun than French.
Yeah. I mean, you could
Right.
argue since she was an original settler, maybe she had a genuine French accent and
Wait, so would you say that the darkest moment in this movie is the flashback where the pirates kill everybody off screen?
Oh my
I would say
god!
no. I would say the
Yeah.
darkest moment is when Lena and Simone melt on screen and into bones.
See, I don't think that's as dark just because they're the main villains. And also
That's
they just
true.
turned to dust. They didn't really melt. Whereas them being killed off screen violently by pirates, is well, they were innocent people
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
one of the zombies is pregnant. Did you notice that when they storm in the two
I
Taurus
did not.
zombies?
I did not.
So I think that might be a pretty dark implication there.
Yeah, I mean the pirates are
But, like,
assholes, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, but some of the zombies aren't pirates or Confederate soldiers. They're just like tourists, like with
Yeah,
cameras
they're
and
just
stuff.
like random people who showed up
The zoot
over
suit
the
mhm.
years.
guys, who I guess were gangsters. Like, there's a lot of different themes in the zombies.
You could make a whole prequel show about their victims.
Yeah, and it's like the sequel
You
movie.
literally
What's going on?
could.
What?
So you literally could. There's just so
Yeah,
many different victims.
it would be like Fantasy Island, except instead of getting their fantasies fulfilled, everyone just gets murdered. Like, how long was that pepper plantation around? Just like 1 year?
No, I'm pretty sure
That,
longer.
does,
They've
that
been
didn't make any
They
sense.
said the plantation flourished until the harvest moon. So, like, they had one crop of peppers and then they all got murdered, or did they just pick off a couple of people
unsure.
and one by one every year? Just pick them off. Eventually, they would have noticed something was going on. I think.
O'Connor. So Mark Hamill was the airport manager.
Oh man, it sounded like him.
I mean, it did. It did.
Well, he was already there. Snake bite, so it's not that hard to get him to do double duty. Snake bite Scruggs, who was trying to catch Big Mona in one of the strangest and most irrelevant running gags. Like,
Doesn't seem right now. Every that's a lot of people.
well, a lot of people that got zombified.
Every year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just every year for 200 years. They would bring, I don't know how many people they needed, because it seemed like they did an entire like crew of pirates one year, and then like the entire plantation workers the next year, and then like just like a couple tourists, and then some gangsters. And then it was just going to be like 4 people. They didn't even want Shaggy and Scooby.
Wait, why didn't they want them?
I don't know. They just didn't even bother with them. They said it was a waste of time and magic wax.
Maybe it's because they're so thin. I don't know.
I don't know. Poor Shaggy. He actually gets the life drained out of him for a little bit.
And Scooby.
Oh, and Scooby. And Shaggy's like, I was beginning to feel like a raisin.
So I'm assuming that they got their life force back because it didn't go through all the way, right?
I guess it's reversible. And then the Confederate soldier popping up to thank them.
That was problematic.
Like, honestly, Confederate soldiers occur fairly frequently throughout Scooby-Doo. Like, one of the original episodes had a Confederate colonel, and then like a treasure being made of Confederate money. And that happens multiple times. What happened with the pirate treasure? Did Lena and Simone have it?
I thought that's where they got
I
their wealth
mean-
from, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I guess.
See, I feel like their backstory is just way more interesting to just make into. a
What are your
movie.
thoughts on Lena and Simone being a couple?
It's possible.
And it's like you're both immortal, but one of you is like the boss of the plantation, and one of you is the housekeeper.
Why didn't they just play each
Well,
other
that's
off as
just a
being
front, though.
sisters?
Well, that's just the front, but she does all the cooking and the cleaning and whatnot.
I know. So why aren't they just sisters?
Yeah.
Living on the plantation.
Like, if we were 2 immortals, I wouldn't like. It's like how the Cullens in Twilight pretend to be high school students for some reason, even though they all are like 20-something. They could pass for 20-something.
Yeah, like I think Edward was supposed to be 18 when he turned or something,
But
but
yeah, like
He's 17.
but he could. But the actor they picked,
it's like
I
I'm
mean-
17, but I've been 17 for a long time.
he can pass as 22 if he really wants to.
But one nonetheless, it's a common trope.
Wait, what's Ariel saying? Can hear her in the background.
I know.
She said something about a common trope. What's going on?
Oh.
Connor, are you there?
I had to mute because Ariel has things to say. She wants me to tell
That's
you
fine. She
that
can
it's a
say
common
it.
trope for the lesbian couples for one of them to be a maid.
You can even think of Dragon Maid, the anime.
And Dragon Maid is an example she's giving.
Wait, what's Dragon Maid?
It's an anime, and also the Sherlock Holmes lesbian couple from Doctor Who.
Rebecca,
And Rebecca.
the old movie.
Apparently that's just a common thing for lesbian couples, and one of them is the maid.
Well, it's not truly common.
It's not truly common.
Wait, were they a lesbian couple in Rebecca, or was it just that the maid was
No,
obsessed with
they were
Rebecca?
supposed to be lesbians, I think, and they just couldn't come out and say it.
Okay, I'm looking this up.
Zombie Island?
No,
No,
Rebecca.
the
But
novel.
Zombie Island, Ariel said she got a vibe that they were a couple. Just a couple of cat people.
Oh, they had a shit ton of cats. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they had a lot of cats together. But I feel like, I did get kind of a couple vibe from them.
Oh no! Now I just realized that the obvious joke.
What is it?
No, I'm not going to say it.
Okay, well.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay. I think I
get
know
it.
where he's going with
I think
it.
I think we all know where.
Okay,
my
well, you
head
know what?
went.
We don't need that sort of crass stuff here on our podcast.
Yes, of course.
I mean, we already said taboo words that we're not supposed to say anyways. So,
We're
like,
gonna
I
get
feel like
double
adding
super
another one.
demonetized.
I feel like adding another one is not going to be a big deal.
We're gonna owe YouTube money.
Oh my goodness.
All right,
Scooby-Doo,
so by the end of Zombie Island, the zombies turn out to be, they're okay, I guess, even if they were Confederates and pirates, but whatever.
I mean, they were bad during life, but now they're just trying to warn you to stay away from
By
from
creeping
Lena.
you the fuck out, apparently. And then the cat people fuck up and they melt. They turn to dust. Yeah, they disintegrate.
They don't have their immortality anymore. Apparently, there's a very brief, 1 minute window where they have to suck out the life of people. Why wasn't Jacques there for that? I mean, it seems like he should have been there in the cave.
Do they just share it with him afterwards? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. It's every harvest moon they got to do it. And it's like, you'll never get away with this. And she goes, I've been getting away with it for 200 years. It's like, oh man, that's a lot of getting away with it. It's like the cops only just now sent somebody to investigate the 200 years worth of disappearances.
Right? That's what I'm saying. There's just too many holes.
Too many
Because
holes.
if you want to argue that they got their wealth from the treasure, but then they stole the plantation from the dude, the other guy, the guy who was running the chili plantation.
Well, it's like, so everybody who ran the pepper plantation just died, and then people came by, and there were two mysterious people in the house now, and they're like, yeah, everyone else died, and this is our house now. We're like, yeah, that checks out. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah, do they pay
This is
taxes on their property or what's going
I think
on?
Jacques is the one that I like the most because he's apparently just like a modern guy who they just recruited to drive the ferry. Like he wasn't there 200 years ago. He's just like, what, cat person immortality sounds great.
I don't think they mentioned exactly when he joined up, but yeah, he wasn't there originally.
Yeah. He was already an old man, and they needed a ferryman, so I would guess it was after the plantation. The plantation flourished. I remember how Lena was like, I really did like you, Fred. So like Fred kind of has a romance going on with Lena, and then Daphne keeps commenting on Bo. Bo does not seem to like Daphne at all, but Daphne keeps commenting about Bo to make Fred jealous.
Why didn't they just offer Fred a chance to be an immortal cat person?
I know. I guess they have a limit of 3, a strict limit. It seems like they've got an extra because they've got 4 hostages and they've got 3 cat people. So maybe they could just save one.
I feel like if Fred turned, he would have been more charming than Jock for the ferryman position.
Yeah, Jacques is for somebody who's supposed to lure people to the island.
He's really
only a
bad.
fool will go look. People go into that bayou, they don't ever come out. And it's like when you realize he's responsible for everyone going missing, it's like, well, that's a weird thing to say. A weird thing to say before you invite people to the island.
They must be really bad at picking, their
I feel like
ferrymen.
Lena is the chief lurer, and everybody else. It's just be cool, everyone.
So how do you think Lena usually lures people? Because this
time
they
were her feminine wiles.
Yeah, I was gonna say
to everyone, I couldn't help but overhear you were looking for a haunted house, and she got lucky with the gang.
She ever just invite people over let's
have
a beer?
This is the last night before they melt and
let's have a beer.
And they didn't seem to have any sense of urgency about what was going on until the end. It's like you're gonna be dead tomorrow unless you get some victims. And
well, they had the gardener guy, so maybe that was
I guess
maybe they just go on Tinder.
Oh man, that would be like Modern Witch's Ghost. Succubus on Tinder. That's the new horror film for a new millennium.
I mean, why not? Succubus on Zoom. There you go.
Succubus on Zoom. Oh god, you get on Tinder and you go on your Zoom date.
Just suck the life out of you through the webcam.
I know. You said it in the 90s, and they just suck the life out of you at 56K.
through through AOL.
Yeah.
I mean, even Scooby-Doo went in through to the digital stuff, right?
Oh,
Wasn't there one where
they?
Yeah, the cyber chase one.
Did you watch? Yeah. That was the 4th one of these. It went Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost after this one, then Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders, then Cyber Chase. And Cyber Chase was kind of where things went wrong.
Well, I don't even remember
why
Cyber Chase.
It just wasn't very good.
I had my dad buy me that.
Did you like that one?
I mean, as a kid, I liked it. Yeah, I just
even
thought
as
it was
a kid, I
interesting
didn't like it. It was not on the level of there were no hex girls, there was no zombies, There was nothing like Alien Invaders was already a little underwhelming with those stupid broccoli aliens, but like, and it had a musical number. Do you remember that? Like, the Scooby-Doo sings a song about, or no, Shaggy sings a song about his like '70s girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and they acknowledge that Shaggy and the Mystery Machine seem like to be stuck out of time by saying that the reason they got along so well with the alien is because her knowledge of Earth culture was from TV broadcasts from the '70s. But like, why in the context of this movie do Shaggy and Scooby drive around in a flower power van and talk like hippies if they're presumably just modern people?
They just really like that style, probably.
Yeah,
That's all I can go with. He's a hipster.
I know the sort of Romana clef for Scooby Doo is they're supposed to be the same way that the Flintstones are the Honeymooners. They're a take on the gang from The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. So like it's really specific with Bob Denver's character Maynard is Shaggy. Let me find you a picture. Here we go. This is a picture for you guys. Maybe we can put this up. Who knows? But Maynard from Dobie Gillis, Shaggy is very specifically supposed to be him.
Yeah, I can see the resemblance.
Yeah. The other characters aren't quite as 1-1, but like Dobie would be Fred. There. And the girls are a stretch because it's like the girls don't have much going for them personality wise.
Okay, yeah, I could see that as Fred and Shaggy for sure.
No. Okay, I googled a PS2 game that I remember called Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights.
Ooh, how many
And
frights were there in that game? The advertised number?
Well, the character models are pretty frightful, so
That sounds
thousands
frightening.
maybe. Yeah. Fred looks like
You want
Fred
you want
looks
to plug that
amazing.
in to the chat?
I mean, let me find an image of Fred. Oh no, no! They look terrible. Okay, one sec. Oh boy. Give me one more sec.
Nice.
All right, there we go.
I mean, that's fine. You know, that's early.
I mean, they were
This
already
Velma
better
looks-
looking. Wait, what about Velma?
Velma looks the worst.
Yeah, Fred looks weird.
Fred
And
looks
Shaggy looks like he's
fine.
scared.
Yeah. Shaggy and Daphne look fine. Everyone else looks unfinished.
I mean, I've been playing games from 2002 that look way better than that. Even on PS2.
Are you talking about Sunshine?
Oh, that was GameCube. I think this was multi-platform.
Yeah. All
But
the
even then,
multi-plats.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so
Interesting.
Oh, here we go. Here's Thalia, however you say that name. She was apparently our Daphne inspiration.
yeah, I can
What
see it.
show is this called again?
It's called The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. Basically, Hanna-Barbera's whole shtick
Mm.
was they would take, like, their characters would be lifted wholesale from some show that was on at the time, which is the Flintstones are just the Honeymooners. What's it? Yogi Bear? He is straight up. He's Sergeant Bilko from the Phil Silver Show, which is a bit of a stretch, but he sounds like Art Carney from the Honeymooners. So he's two different things mixed together. And then Snagglepuss. Snagglepuss is the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz. Like, not even. They don't even change it that much. Yeah. But the upshot of this is that Shaggy is actually not a hippie. He's a 1960s beatnik. And there's some overlap, but they're not quite the same thing.
I mean, children aren't going to get that part, but
Well, children
Yeah.
wouldn't get hippies either.
suppose, well, they might just from
gonna
pop cultural
say.
osmosis.
Well, if they can get that, they can get
Mhm.
beatniks. Like, They're
I
not
don't think
that.
I
beatniks
think
are as well
beatnik is a
known.
more of a I feel like beatniks is more. Now we're getting more technical.
See, I got to give credit to
Versus hippie.
Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed because they do specifically refer to Shaggy as Scooby's beatnik buddy.
To be fair,
do like-
Wait, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just sometimes it just makes more sense to age people up with your characters. Oh, anyway, that was my side tangent. Go ahead.
I was going to say the live action movies were a lot more self-aware. So, makes
They
sense.
were, but like to what? Did that make them better, or did that just?
I'm not saying they were.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
So
So after that technical issue,
should we sign off, or should we? Have we said all we're going to say about Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island?
I think we should say did we enjoy the movie?
Oh, definitely. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean for what it is, it was quite enjoyable.
I think it's the best Scooby-Doo anything. Like, there's no Scooby-Doo show or movie that's better than this is.
Do you think that someone would still enjoy this even if they didn't watch the show?
Well, it is meant to be kind of an introduction to Scooby-Doo.
Like a reintroduction is how I view it.
Well, yeah, but most kids would have not actually seen Scooby-Doo in 1998 unless they had, Cartoon Network, which surprisingly not many kids had back then.
Really?
Well, it was part of the basic cable package, but how many kids had basic cable?
Well, I'm sure millions had basic cable.
Well, yeah, but more kids didn't than did.
Yeah, well,
I was gonna watch Cartoon Network all the time.
Yeah, I did too. Cartoon Network was great.
Yeah, and then they went through their live action phase, years in like the 2000s until like the late 2000s, right?
Yeah,
They
like
had
the
the
mid
live action
2000s. It started with Reanimated, and then they had Destroy,
Which-
Build, Destroy. And
Reanimated was shit though. I don't know how the fuck they thought that. Well, I mean, it was really successful, but it was shit.
it was.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was.
know anyone who liked it, but I guess it must have got good ratings.
No, like the initial movie, like their pilot, that got a lot of good ratings.
And then
when
it became
came
like
out.
Out of Jimmy's Head as a series.
Yeah. We don't talk about their live action phase.
Oh god, Tower Prep was supposedly pretty good, but I read the world's worst review of it that never said what the show was about or who the characters were or anything. So I have no idea what Tower Prep was.
I don't even know what it is. I
Well,
don't remember it
Paul
at all.
Dini worked on it, but yeah, it got canceled very quickly and was replaced by Level Up, which was about like these kids. They got it's like the same show as that show on Netflix now called Glitch Text, except it was live action.
I see.
I mean, I would definitely wouldn't mind watching this with my niece and nephew.
You don't think it would be a little
Scooby-Doo.
too spoopy for them?
My nephew wants to dress up as Foxy, so I think it's fine.
From Five Nights at Freddy's. I thought you meant like Foxy from Drawn Together. I was
Oh
like,
no, Five Nights at Freddy's is way worse than this as far as like the scare factor.
There's not any gore or anything in Five Nights at Freddy's, and there is like zombies.
Well, the animatronics I
Okay,
would say look creepier than the zombies in this movie, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, there's
Can I
supposed to
point-
be like dead bodies in the animatronics. So
What was that, Jessica?
Can I also point out that he originally wanted to be It the Clown, but my sister's husband said no because
It the Clown
wearing a dress. The clown is wearing a dress, but I'm like, it's not
Is
wearing
the
a
clown
dress,
wearing
it's
a
clown
dress?
suit.
That's a weird
what?
reason to not let him be. First of all, It the Clown is not, is not his name.
yeah, that
Right.
is no.
Second of all, he's not
it's
wearing a
either
dress.
You know what I
either
mean,
just
though,
it
right?
or Pennywise.
It the Clown. I would see a movie called It the Clown. It's like somebody knocks on the door. It's like, who is it? It the Clown.
It the Clown. It's like, are you having an issue with your grammar there? No, my name is It the Clown.
I want to see a movie where a clown rescues kids from monsters. Because I feel like clowns have been getting too much. I used to work as a clown, I used to work for a company called Clown Around Town. And I feel like clowns get a bad rap from all these horror movies. I think a clown is more likely to protect you than to attack you. A clown's not likely to do either one, but
Yeah,
probably more likely to do the first.
unless they're a serial killer in disguise.
Well, even then, the only serial killer clown in history did not kill
That
while
we
dressed
know
as a
of. That we
clown.
know of. That we know of.
Okay, that we know of. John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, he did work as a birthday clown, and he did kill people, but they were two separate things that he did.
That is true. He didn't kill them while in the clown outfit, as
Yeah.
far as we're aware of.
And that is the
He
only...
had integrity
those-
for the clown profession.
Those weird clowns that kept showing up in 2016. Like, what was going on with that? Did we ever find out?
I think they were. It was mostly like a trend, and also occasionally just
People said it was
criminals
viral
dressing
marketing
up.
for it. But that
Wasn't
movie
somebody
didn't-
trying to
No.
promote something
Well,
though?
it didn't
I
come
No,
out
that
for
was
another
just-
year.
That was just a rumor that it was a promotional thing for it. I don't think there was any validity to it.
There was also some kind of a clown thing going on for Halloween Horror Nights, but I don't think they would have like hired people in Europe to advertise that. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to fly to
Mm.
America to go to Horror Nights.
That's creepy. Why are people creepy?
I don't know.
They got nothing better to do.
But clowns
I
are getting
know,
a
right?
bad
What kind of
rap.
question am I asking here?
I want to see a horror movie where clowns defend people. But going back to this, so first of all,
Yeah, they could
your,
be watching Scooby-Doo instead.
your brother-in-law or your brother, I'm not clear on the details of this, very upset about
Yeah.
the Pennywise costume because Pennywise wears a dress.
Yeah, that was really it. And I thought, I mean,
But he's-
I wasn't there
he's
for the
not.
conversation.
And number one, so
but
like no,
he's
no
not.
female costume is allowed. That's what I'm getting from this. So like if
Yeah.
he had picked an
ass-
actual female character, there would have been hell.
I'm assuming your brother-in-law's dick is really small. That's all I'm gonna
Hey,
say.
maybe we should keep this kind of talk out of the podcast.
I mean,
Let's
good
leave
thing
it at
he
that.
probably will never hear this anyway.
Well, I mean, no one's ever going to hear this. Let's be real, but
Apparently.
just in case. And I'm sure he's like, I listened to 3 hours of your podcast and heard you comment about me one time. Like he's got to have dedication to get this far into the podcast.
Yeah. That's
So why are we insulting our only fan?
Our only fan is the kind of person who gets offended about clown outfits.
And it's just like, I thought Pennywise's outfit had pants on it, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying. It's a clown outfit. It's
Yeah,
not-
it
I
doesn't
think he
look
saw
like
like
it
a
dressed at
sexy
all.
Pennywise is what he saw. Because I'm sure that exists. I'm sure that exists. Sexy Pennywise. Sexy wise.
No, I feel like you're giving him too much credit, Connor.
Speaking of too much credit, like, okay, so in the movie, at the very beginning, the kid refers to his toy boat as it, and then his older brother corrects him, no, you call a boat she, you don't call it it. And then at the end, when like the fake brother shows up, he refers to a boat as it again. And then the kid is like, oh, you're not my real brother because he knows not to call boats it. And I'm like, wow, is that why the movie's called It? It's like, no. Like,
That
an
is
important
such-
plot point.
That is such a small tell to be like, I'm so certain you are not my brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna stab you to death now because you used the wrong word to talk about my boat. You seem more like a psychopath who just loves your boat more than your little brother.
Yeah, I mean, he turned out to be right, but I mean,
Yeah,
it didn't really
honestly,
make much sense.
I really
honestly.
liked that movie. Like, I thought
The
it was
part.
better.
You
than
mean
the-
part one, right?
Yeah, I did not feel the need to see part two. Like, it's over. I don't care what these people.
Yeah,
do.
part two was actually more of a comedy. It was really weird, honestly. Like it wasn't just like
Yeah.
occasionally there were comedic elements. It was like no, it turned into a black comedy. It wasn't even a horror movie
Well,
anymore.
I mean, there's clowns. Like,
There's a killer lumberjack, like a giant lumberjack that tries to kill them at one point.
Paul Bunyan.
I mean, if you really think about it, like, how can you make it more scary? I guess from like the
I mean, it
adult's
was pretty
perspective.
scary.
No, part
Well, I mean,
two.
just
I'm not
have them
talking
get
about part
phone
one.
calls from creditors and shit.
Well, the problem is that any portion with them as adults is the weakest part of the It story to begin with. So
I don't know why they wanted to spin that off into
fair
its
as
own
well.
movie. Like, it was more like a framing device for the kids, and yet
It should have just been 1 3-hour movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to see
Yeah,
them as
because
adults.
it chapter 2 was like really long.
And boring.
It was long.
was like the first It was like, wow, maybe there is a market for Stephen King movies again. And then the second It was like, no, there's not. No, there's not.
Like, because he
Well,
was
they
like,
were also way worse than the part 1 of it.
Yeah. And then there's always like the one Stephen King fan who's like, well, it makes more sense in the book. It's like, oh, how does it make more sense? Well, you find out that it was sent by a giant turtle.
Please justify like kids having sex with each other.
No one can justify
please,
that.
no.
No,
Although apparently
You are
that's
being shut down.
That's Stephen King being high off his fucking mind.
That's
and
the
being like,
eponymous
yes,
It, apparently.
Yeah. What is?
Sex is the It.
Wait,
I don't know.
wait. No, It is just what they call the clown because
I feel like
it's
he was
an
just
unknowable.
panicking when he had to say what his next title was to his publisher and he hadn't written anything.
But has Stephen
Wait,
King
repeat
ever
that
said
one more
why
time?
he included that sex scene?
Oh, no.
Has he ever actually said anything about that
The cat caused shenanigans.
in an interview? Why would you write that?
Looks okay.
Let's see. Stephen King comment on kid sex.
I
think because he knew that by page like 500, nobody was going to be reading anymore unless they were already just completely on board with whatever Stephen King said.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he would ever why would you want that in your book?
He was on cocaine. All right, that's the answer to everything. He was on drugs.
That's probably why. But
he kept thinking his car was going to come to life and kill him to the point where he wrote like 4 books about it.
Yeah, that's
and a movie. Also, circling back to Zombie Island, not cat people. What was this fucking Sleepwalkers? Very similar to Zombie Island.
Okay, so this was the statement.
Okay, let's hear Stephen King defend this.
All right. Based, hold on, the scene still controversy, including if you Google King's statement on it, you'll come up with a quote traced back to a forum on stephenking.com from November 2013 that reads, I wasn't really thinking of the sexual aspect of it. The book dealt with childhood and adulthood, 1958 and grown-ups. The grown-ups don't remember their childhood. None of us remember what we did as children. We think we do, but we don't remember it as it really happened. Intuitively, the losers knew they had to be together again. The sexual act connected childhood and adulthood. It's another version of the glass tunnel that connects the children's library and the adult library. Times have changed since I wrote that scene, and there is now more sensitivity to those issues. And then this website, or the Vulture, reached out for confirmation on the statement, and he responded, that sounds like my statement. He added, I just add that it's fascinating to me that there has been so much comment about that single sex scene and so little about the multiple child murders. That must mean something, but I'm not sure what. That makes me hate him. Wow.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go with the child murders were integral to the plot. That weird sex sewer scene was not.
Was not, yeah.
I mean, how else could they have gotten out of the? I don't know what happens in the book.
They could have just hugged it out. I don't fucking know. Like why?
I mean, you're the author that decided to write about fucking child murders. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, and you're right, Augustine. That's kind of like that's part of the plot.
Sus. It's kind of sus, don't you think?
Why couldn't you just said he was just high on cocaine? And that would have been more accepting. This, now that I've read it, is just bullshit. I'm irritated now. Wow, that irritated me.
It comes off as a poor excuse to me.
It does. Wow.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to write about that. Like,
who would actively want to write about that unless they were a fucking weirdo, and not in a good way?
Well, I think Stephen King is kind of a weirdo. I mean, he did write about killer like washing machines or whatever. So
it was a laundry folding machine. I know he did that. But it wasn't mobile or anything. You had to climb into the laundry folding machine. To
So
get
it
filled.
was as dangerous as just regular equipment.
The mangler.
That's like me making a movie about a killer vacuum, and it's like, well, the vacuum only kills you if somebody uses it and hits you with it, and it's like, okay, well then it's not really any more dangerous than a regular vacuum now. Is it? Oh, Ollie, always barking, always barking. All right.
So this leads back to Scooby-Doo and how, like,
Scooby-Doo versus the Mangler. Come on, Scoob, don't fall into the.
I would be willing to bet that
laundry.
Stephen King has been involved in some sort of Scooby-Doo thing at some point in his life. Let me see here. Stephen King.
You mean like a cameo, or he's actually written an episode of it?
Like
or
they'd have
something?
given him a cameo.
in the Scooby-Doo adaptation of It.
Well, I mean, Tim Curry's character in Witch's Ghost is pretty clearly supposed to be Stephen King.
Would you watch a version of It where it's the Scooby-Doo gang and they have a pup named Scooby-Doo designs in part 1 and then their Zombie Island designs in part 2?
I mean, no, but I'd be no, just no. But what is it? Stephen King, Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher talks about Scooby-Doo a lot.
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher. It's one of his lesser works.
Yeah, the movie sucked too. The adaptation.
Yeah, it had Scooby-Doo fairly heavily featured. Remember he even says we got some work to do now before he goes to fight Mr. Gray at the end.
I'm really mad about that now. Wow, should have looked that up before. I feel like a fool. Yeah, it just kind of pissed me off.
I mean, yeah.
Yes!
I mean, you should be mad at Stephen King. Like, we're not the Stephen King fan club. You can say whatever you want about it.
I know, but like, paying money to go see it, and it just kind of like.
Oh, I actually
to go see the adaptation.
To go see it, yeah, I saw that.
I mean, at least that scene wasn't in the movie, thankfully.
I mean, that was never gonna.
Oh, thank God! No.
Well, no, unless they
almost put it in there as like a trap for people adapting it into a movie.
But it's not integral to the plot, really, so you can easily cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing missing.
Literally, so you literally didn't have to write that scene at all. Period. Point blank. Just sorry. Let's talk about something happy. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Let's talk about all those hundreds of people that were sacrificed to the cat god.
Do you think they had sex with each other at some point?
I mean, some of them were couples, so maybe, but not in relation to getting turned into a zombie.
I suppose not. Not in mid cat transformation or something.
And then, like, what kind of plantation was it? Like, were there just workers at that plantation, or was that like a plantation with slaves? And if so, did they get turned into zombies?
Oh, come on. Like, they're going to point that out in a children's
We have the Confederate army showing up in this movie.
I know. That's it. That's so problematic, too. It's like...
Yeah.
I did not hear what she said.
Oh, she said they made a particular point that there were no slaves in the plantation because they said it was the owners working the fields.
Then I wouldn't use the word. I feel like plantation now has such a negative connotation to it now, so I wouldn't use that the word. Could have just said a chili farm. But that's just me.
Well, yeah, according to some news stories I was reading, I mean, they love visiting plantations over there in the South. The South is like visiting plantations.
Like a tourist attraction.
And like downplaying the whole thing. No, I mean, they even do like field trips No,
Well, I
like,
went to
let's go pick some
Monticello
cotton.
once,
Oh, that's
and like Monticello has what they call the African American graveyard outside, and it's literally just the woods
that's
with no markers or
good.
anything.
Ah,
That's
don't
pretty
like
gross.
that.
Yeah, that was Thomas Jefferson's estate.
Yep. Truly, the founding fathers are saints without reproach.
Oh goodness.
Everything they wrote was 100% gold.
So Scooby-Doo and
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo and the founding fathers at Monticello or some shit. I don't know. Versus the slave forest graveyard. Like, damn. I mean, to be fair, they did put Confederate soldiers in this movie, so there is a connection
Yeah,
there.
they're inviting comparison.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they didn't think about it at the time, but
It's
you
like
know.
if the plantation was used as Confederate barracks, that means it existed before the Civil War.
hmm
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of chilies they were.
Oh, they had like a special name, didn't
Just
they?
to change the subject.
Shaggy and Scooby had
Oh,
like an
it's-
obsession with hot peppers that kind of paid off in the end when they squirted the pepper in Jock's eyes, but I don't think that was enough of a payoff for how much buildup we got with these peppers.
I mean, they're just obsessed with food in general.
But like in this movie specifically, they're obsessed with hot peppers. It's usually just like all food. But even when they got their big sandwiches, they put the hot sauce on them. They're just like they're obsessed with heat for this one movie.
I mean, I think it's just another example of the regional playing into the regional stuff with
Yeah.
spicy gumbo and shit like that.
They got the po' boy
Yeah.
sandwiches. He's like, I made many po' boy sandwiches my time. You know, whatever. Never made one this big. God, remember Fred like has beignets in one scene. He's like, doesn't anyone want a beignet?
I know he comes off as like a what's the word? Just oblivious, I guess.
Well, that's just Fred in general, though.
What's interesting
That's
though
fair.
is usually Velma's the skeptical one in these movies.
Mhm.
But she's
Mhm.
like 100% on board with ghosts and zombies, and Fred's the one who like doesn't believe in it for this movie.
Well, you
I
gotta give
mean,
Fred something to do.
You'd think the smart one would be the skeptical one, but I guess in a world where monsters are real, the smart one is the one that believes in monsters.
well, Velma's usually the skeptical one, so
Yeah.
it's just another example of her being intelligent. That when it turns out that they're actually dealing with monsters, she's like, "No, this is absolutely monsters."
God, the sequel tried to play it that it had all been some sort of long con. Like, I haven't seen the sequel, but it sounds like it's just horrifying and spitting on the memory of the
There's a sequel?
Yeah, Return to
Why?
Yeah,
Zombie
it came
Island.
out in 2019,
Yeah, it was
September
for
2019.
for the
I might just
anniversary.
watch it just to compare.
Yeah, I was talking about it before. They retconned them into having been teens during this movie.
That's weird. No.
Yeah.
No.
And
Just let them be adults, damn it.
I
Just
know, they
let
just need
it
to be grown-ups.
be.
Well,
You
Right.
know, if you want to make a show or a movie about kids and teens, then please have them be doing kids shit and
Because
teen
like driving around in a van
shit.
solving mysteries, that's not anyone's stuff. Like that's not adult stuff. That's not kid stuff. That's just not nobody before Scooby-Doo was doing that. And then everybody who did it since was kind of doing it in homage to Scooby-Doo.
Mm.
I guess the question we have to ask everybody here is if you had to choose between Velma and Daphne, whom would you choose?
Why do we have to pick?
yeah, I wouldn't
Well,
pick
because
either.
bigamy is illegal in the United States of America.
I'm way older than they are, so I'm not going to pick
No,
between
you're
them.
not. They're adults, at least in this movie.
Okay,
No, they're not.
whatever you
'Cause
want
now
to.
you just said they were
No, it got
retconned.
retconned, but that doesn't count. That's
Yeah,
not
it got retconned like over 20 years later.
Yeah, no teenager owns their own bookstore.
Again, that I just
This is
thought
like
it's
when
scary.
people. This is like when people are like, "Pick who you prefer in Neon Genesis Evangelion," and
Well,
I'm
Asuka
like,
is the right answer.
No, the right answer is Masato because she's a 29-year-old woman.
Well, that's true. Masato is great. But if the question is between, presumably within the hypothetical world that this question takes place in, where cartoon characters are real, you're also going to high school with them, like presumably. You have to meet them halfway with these hypothetical questions.
Okay, so the hypothetical depends on me also being a teenager.
Well, like if I ask you to choose between Wilma and Betty, assumedly they're not married to Fred and Barney in this world, because you don't want to be a homewrecker. Unless you really want to. You have some sick fantasy.
Oh, like
of
that's
just, like,
the fantasy is like I
Barney
have an
Rubble's family
affair.
apart, and he and Bam Bam, like he's a single father with Bam Bam, who Betty left him to be with you. Is that what you want, you weirdo?
I mean, it'd
Jesus,
be a
this,
more
like,
interesting story. Like Bam Bam needs like to go to needs some special classes, and Barney can't take care of him properly.
And Betty's off
needs
with
to go to
you.
therapy.
He hangs
Jesus.
himself with a dinosaur.
My God, you went to a dark place with this.
Well, I was gonna just say therapy, but
Yeah,
okay.
you
I
leave
guess
the
I'm just-
Flintstones alone, okay? You're not
The
allowed in the
ther- the
Flintstones world
therapy-
anymore.
Therapy
You don't
didn't
get Wilma
work.
or Betty because you messed it up.
Jesus.
I guess, Jessica, we have to ask you Fred or Barney, but neither one of them seems especially appealing.
Yeah, their wives are a lot more
I
appealing.
mean, I
that's
think
for sure.
Fred, I would pick Fred because, like, at least he's got ideas. Like, Barney's just
Barney's just
whatever
stupid.
Fred does.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's not a bright bulb.
I liked when he was Rick Moranis in the movie. Like, that movie had some good casting. John Goodman is...
John Goodman played Fred, and then
Mhm.
Kyle MacLachlan played the main villain, right? In the second
he
one,
did.
or the
He
first
did.
one?
No,
I
in
don't
the first
remember.
one. Well, no. Yeah, the second. Wait.
I think he was. Was he just in the second one? I only
No,
saw
I
the
think he was
second
in
movie.
the first one.
I only
Who
saw
was
the
bad guy in
second.
the first one? One sec.
Viva Las Vegas. Viva
Rock
Rock
Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah.
I know he was a bad guy in one of them, but now you got me doubting myself.
I did like that movie. That was a cute movie.
He was in the first one. I don't know who was in the second one. Viva Rock Vegas. Let's look at the cast. Thomas Gibson. They also used audio of Mel Blanc, even though he was dead at the time. So that's questionable. But he was the original voice of Barney and Dino.
Didn't they do Jetsons Flintstones crossover?
They did in the
times?
80s.
Yeah.
Just one
Yeah.
time. It was in the 80s. It was
And-
all right. And it did confirm once and for all that the ground in the Jetsons is not the world of the Flintstones. The Flintstones are in the Stone Age. They're not in some post-apocalyptic future. I don't know how they have Christmas despite that, but there you go.
And then I my favorite crossover with the Jetsons was with Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Oh God, were they from the year 2002?
And they can't move because they're so used to the floor moving on its
Judy
own.
gets carried off by wolves on the.
Yeah,
That's because
they starve.
the actress that played Judy had died. You know what's really unfair about Judy? When they made the Jetsons movie, they recorded all of Judy's lines, and then they hired pop star Tiffany to come in and re-record all of Judy's lines, so they had a big name on the movie.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, so I think it was
Hope she
Judy
at least got
Waldo
paid.
got like completely cut out. She must have, because she recorded everything, but she probably doesn't get
Yeah.
royalties.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate part.
That movie wasn't very good. Like, you want to talk about not good Hanna-Barbera based movies. That's the Jetsons movie. Like Charlotte's Web.
Became a movie.
What?
The Jetsons got a movie.
Yeah, it was an animated movie. It was actually the very last thing that both George O'Hanlon and Mel Blanc worked on because they both died. So that's Mr. Spacely and George Jetson both died during the production of this movie. Cursed. And then Tiffany was Judy's voice.
Unfortunate.
Don Messick, the voice of Scooby-Doo, he was the voice of Astro because they only had one dog voice guy.
All right.
Miss Rick Moranis.
Yeah,
He
he says he's coming
about
back. He says he's coming out of retirement, but like I have seen hide nor hair of him. Apparently, he got robbed recently.
He got punched in the face.
Yeah, he got fucked over.
Who punches Rick Moranis? Like, Jesus.
Dude's like 80 years old.
Victim
Like,
of unprovoked attack. I mean, he looks pretty good for his age in this picture, at least, unless this is a file photo they used. randomly attacked by a stranger, so it didn't even want money.
It's just senseless violence. All right, so should we wrap up our thoughts on Scooby-Doo? So good movie, good movie.
Yeah, good movie. I think it's peak Scooby. The one thing is the Hex Girls who would be in the next movie are pretty great, and I wish they were in this one instead.
Well, that would have been fun.
Yeah, like maybe they could have been on the island. I don't know.
Instead of Bo, who I don't think ever shows up again.
Yeah, they would have been investigating undercover. The Hex Girls do show up again multiple times. That's how you know that they hit on a good supporting character there, because
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
in
they're popular.
the Australia vampire one. I
Mhm.
forget what that was called. And they were in What's New Scooby-Doo. They were in Mystery Incorporated a couple times. Like, oh, they were even in the new show, Guess Scooby-Doo and Guess Who.
Maybe they should get their own spin-off.
I mean, I would watch it. I mean, it would be a lot like Josie and the Pussycats, because they were a band and they solved mysteries.
Yeah, overall, I think the movie's good. There's just a couple of problematic things. But other than that, it's a good movie. Like, I watched it by myself again and didn't, still got nostalgia about it. And I'd probably watch it with my niece and nephew for sure.
I mean, it's a fun movie.
Mhm.
Not a fan of some of the new voices. That's my only real gripe with it. And also, the soundtrack's amazing, and I wish you could get those Sky Cycle songs on CD.
You're gonna have to stick to YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, it's too bad. The only clean version of the song is the one that plays over the credits. So you gotta rip the audio from the credits and burn it onto your own CD.
What are you talking about? We don't do anything illegal here.
You're right, but that's not illegal if you've already purchased the DVD of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and you
We did
only use
not
that
pay for
CD
the
for personal
musical
use.
rights.
Well, yeah, well you
sir.
can't play it in a public venue, but you can listen to it yourself.
Yeah, same reason why I emulate Silent Hill with no regrets, because I already
Nobody would
bought my
ever.
copy.
Speaking of, have we settled on a new topic for next week? Are we going to do Silent Hill?
I mean, I'm good with Silent Hill.
I mean, Silent Hill's a little involved, and I got killed by a pterodactyl because I tried to kill him with a pipe.
I'm telling you,
Jessica, do
those
you have
things you
thoughts?
either run away or shoot.
Do you have thoughts on Silent Hill?
Not yet.
Because my one competing offering is the first Castlevania.
It's also a much harder game than Silent Hill, I'd say.
Oh, that's true, but it's like an hour long if you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Probably less.
after you've died a lot of times.
That's true. I died in Silent Hill. I got killed by a pterodactyl.
Yeah, but that has difficulty modes. So if you get too desperate,
Oh
you
yeah,
put
I
it
should
on
have said that
easy.
to easy. Can you change it on the fly, or are you just stuck with whatever you
I
pick?
think you have to start from the beginning, but where are you at right now?
I'm right at the beginning. I just got told I had to go to the school
Oh yeah, you could just start over if you're
because
having
I
issues.
started on normal, and maybe I was too ambitious. Maybe I should have done easy.
Yeah, I'm playing on normal.
Is it spoopy even on easy mode? Like if nothing can kill you, is it really scary?
I mean, the atmosphere is still cool and the music is still disturbing, but
Mhm.
I mean, I'd recommend normal, but if you're having issues, yeah, just go easy.
Uh, I mean, I guess my issue is I used the wrong weapon on the pterodactyl.
Yeah,
Why
and
are there
like I
pterodactyls?
said, oh well, that gets explained later. But as far as like the weapons, you don't really have to worry about ammunition too much.
Hmm.
Just search everywhere.
Yeah, I know there were just boxes of bullets on the floor in the alleyway.
And at the convenience store.
Oh, I should check out the convenience store.
Yeah, there are optional areas you can go to,
I love that the cop
thankfully.
just gave me a gun. Because first of all, she apparently had two on her person, and second of all, she's just like, "Well, I just met you, but here you go."
It's weird because in the GBA version, the play novel,
Uh-huh.
they basically state that Harry has a gun in his car. So he could have just used his own gun instead of having
Why is he
Sybil give it
taking
to
a
him.
gun to go look for his daughter? What is he planning to do when he finds her?
No, because the idea is that he's scared of being mugged, so he has a gun permit. and he keeps it
Oh.
in his car.
Exercising his constitutional rights.
Yes, he's exercising his Second Amendment rights.
Yeah.
That's Harry.
That's Harry.
Not a great shot though, even with the lights on.
No. All right, so I guess next week we'll discuss Silent Hill, the first one.
Yeah, the original, the OG,
OG
Konami's
Silent Hill.
masterpiece. Despite and now it's just a pachinko machine.
People say Silent Hill
Unfortunately.
2 is better. I don't know. People always say the second one's better, with the notable exception of Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda. Yeah, not a fan of Zelda 2.
Zelda 2 is weird. And if you play the disc system version, it loads for like 20 minutes every time you go into a town.
Okay, so Jessica, you agree Silent Hill? It's not a
Mhm.
long game.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to find. I forgot where you. We'll talk about it when we stop recording.
Scooby-Doo gang in Silent Hill.
So that'd be amazing, actually.
I mean, Robot Chicken already did the sketch where they went to Camp Crystal Lake and got murdered by Jason Voorhees.
Oh yeah, and Velma had sex with the janitor.
And they had Don Knotts and
What the fuck are y'all talking about?
It's a Robot Chicken sketch. I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
They also had Girl with the Dragon Tattoo crossing over with Scooby-Doo, but that one wasn't as good.
Yeah, I don't think Robot Chicken's been very good for a long time.
Like, they got actual Don Knotts and actual Phyllis Diller for that sketch because they spared no expense in early Robot Chicken. But the vast majority of their sketches amount to the characters you liked from this cartoon show get violently murdered.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. In stop motion as well.
Yeah.
They get violently murdered in stop
Like the
motion.
Homestar Runner one was literally just a bunch of like a SWAT team running in and shooting every Homestar Runner character.
I mean, how many seasons does that show have?
I don't know. It's been on since 2005, but I don't think they've done a new season every year.
Let's see. 10 seasons and 200 episodes. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot of episodes. They got David Lynch in as the voice of the scientist.
The latest season stopped airing July 26th, 2020.
Yeah. This is not that big a coup to get David Lynch because he was in the Cleveland Show.
Yeah, I mean, he's willing to lend his voice.
Yeah, he'll just do whatever.
His coffee's pretty good too.
Damn good coffee.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right.
I prefer his espresso blend, but the house blend was fine.
Yeah. I don't know if I trust any food product that David Lynch endorses.
I mean, it's just coffee.
Yeah, I suppose so. All right, I think we should call it. What's our sign-off phrase, Jessica?
Put on the spot again.
You've had all week. Come on, what
I
you got?
was supposed to come up with a new one. I don't remember receiving this task.
Just say zoinks.
Oh God. Well, we're leaving now. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Like, and now it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
catch you next time with Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.